Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, and so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show. Booyah.
Yeah, baby, here we are. Guys,
Thanksgiving.
Guys, before we talk about anything else, I got to tell you a story that just happened to me like 10 minutes ago.
Wow.
I'm running a little late today.
The music hasn't even finished playing yet.
Yes.
He's in.
I'm normally here early when I'm in person.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? But today I got in. We all kind of got in at the same time. We're all, going crazy. But as I'm driving in, I'm on the highway, and I get cut off on the highway. Tight move. Cut off. Boom, boom, boom.
Wow.
And I honk, and I'm like, who the hell is that? I see the license plate. What does it say? G. Bush! I got cut off by G. Bush!
No.
Yeah,
Did you know that was me?
I didn't know it was. I said, that's the only person that got a Subaru is cool
In the world.
I said, I saw the little
Why G.
Subaru
Bush just
swing,
cut me off on the highway?
and he was in the middle. I was like,
Oh, man.
That was a crazy move.
Did you road rage on
I mean,
G.
to
Bush?
be fair,
So did you do it because you knew it was?
No, he didn't
no,
know.
no, I did.
You said
no,
you
did it 'cause
consider
you're
a
late.
driver.
I did it because I told McNuggets.
He was
I
in a
said,
rush, too.
I said I had to get my tire. I said I got to put air in this tire. And I said, okay, well, I might be late, but I'm not going to be late.
Yeah.
So I was going. He was in this left lane.
Drifting.
No, I was in the middle.
He was in the middle.
Was he drifting?
No, he had middle. He was medium speed.
The guy in the right lane in front of you was going really slow.
Real slow.
Yeah.
And
But
then
he has every right to be medium speed in the middle lane.
Yes, in the middle lane. So I just was like, I need to go 1,000 in all these 2 lanes.
I need to go 1,000.
And I'm like, what is this guy? Now, to be fair, it's probably a move I've done before, too.
Yeah.
But I'm
he at least
honking,
use
and then
the
I'm like,
turning
it's
signal?
G. Bush.
Hey, yeah, I had turning signal on. The thing was, he kept following me in the back, and I said,
Who is this guy?
dude, he gonna get mad. He's salty.
Right, I'm going to the same place.
I said, he gonna pull up on me at work.
man.
He got another thing coming. Listen,
Yeah.
I'm gonna get him before he get me.
Hey,
I
you're
wish you
going
guys
to
would
the
have
same
both
show.
jumped
What
out
are
of
the
your
odds?
I wish you guys would have jumped out of your cars and be like, you saw. Oh,
Hey,
hey.
They make a great commercial.
Boy, we are
Yes.
late right now.
Yeah,
Am
we
I right?
are.
We are late.
I was like,
Give me a
I
ride.
couldn't blame him. Once I saw it was him, I was like, well, he's in a rush, too. We're both
What
running
was
late.
it, on 90?
No, on Route 2.
Route 2.
Yeah.
Hey.
We were
Flying
both
in.
speed, even medium speed on there is speeding, because the speed
Yeah,
limit there is like
it's
35.
It's like
Hey,
G. Bush, question for you. Your license plate says G. Bush?
Of course it does.
That's a new thing.
What do you think about his?
Yeah, that must be new, right? You
Yeah,
got
so
that.
so here's what I really doubled down since our last time.
Yeah.
Maybe I could capitalize on some of this fame that people think I got. So yeah, when you pull me over now, you are at least gonna know either this is George W. Bush, George,
Obviously is not.
which is not right. The windows ain't that dark, right? And or it's Junior. It's
Right.
Junior.
Yeah.
And then they'd be like, oh, well, there's only one other G. Bush. So
That's a veteran move, though. I mean, that will get you out of a ticket at some point.
At
Yeah.
some point,
Yeah.
they're like, G. Bush, slow down a little bit. And I didn't like your take on Baker at first, but I like it now.
All right. Busy show today. We got a split time between Browns and Buckeyes. If it were up to me, it would be all Buckeyes. I don't think the Browns deserve our time, but we have to talk about the Bucs and the Browns, and we also have to talk about the Bucs and the Wolverines. So that's all going to be on today's show. Aditi joins us a little bit later, and also we're going to do trivia with Jenn Matthews.
Nice.
Browns, Buccaneers trivia. They don't have a lot of history, guys.
No.
What did they play, like 6 times maybe?
Fun fact, little preview. Jay, you were involved in one of these questions.
Wow.
Okay, very cool.
Personally involved with one of these questions.
Personally involved.
Interesting.
All right. I did cover the Buccaneers for 5 years before I went to
Did they
ESPN.
play the Browns while you were there?
I believe they did.
They
Yeah.
did.
I believe they did.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that
All
must
right.
be it.
We're thrilled today to start the program with the voice of the Buckeyes. Paul Keels, welcome back to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. We had a blast with you when you were on the first time.
Hey, guys.
And this
Paul.
time it's deadly serious. I mean,
Yeah.
this is it. This is the game of the century, part 2. I think it's only happened 5 times where the Bucs and the Wolverines have met when they were undefeated. I could be wrong on that. I thought I read that yesterday. One way or another, it's all at stake. It all comes down to this game. What's your early feel for how this game plays out, Paul?
Well, Jay, I think the most important thing is going to be who can establish themselves with physicality at the line of scrimmage, both on offense and defense. That's where Michigan really had the advantage last year.
Right.
Allowed them to run the ball the way they did. And, I think there's some question about Ohio State running the ball, not just because of inability, but because of some of the injuries they've had at the tailback spot. So probably the first thing is going to be who can really physically and aggressively establish themselves at the line of scrimmage.
Paul, do you talk to the coaches and the players at all about the pressure? I mean, think about it. This team is 11-0, and I feel like the fans are miserable. If the Buckeyes don't win by 40, it's like people go crazy, and it's the only sport where that happens. In the NFL, we just want our team to win. Basketball, baseball, we just want them to win. If the Buckeyes don't crush their opponent, everybody gets aggravated. This bothers me as a player or a coach to be 11-0 and maybe not feel appreciated. Is that something that's hard for them to get used to, or?
Well, the guy we talk to the most is Ryan Day, and it doesn't bother him. He kind of knows what comes with the job description and what comes with the territory. But I think what you have is two different forms of Buckeye fans. Those that, even if they beat somebody by 40 points, are still going to be unhappy. Those who understand the realistic concerns when they don't, but also are able to get their arms around the fact that the most important thing is winning. You know, a few weeks ago when they had that difficult game at Northwestern with just some crazy elements, I think everybody after the fact realized a couple of weeks away with a couple of more wins, they're not going to remember how sluggish that football game was. And, you know, last weekend we saw kind of craziness all over the place. Michigan had to struggle to beat Illinois. You saw what happened to Tennessee. Georgia had to struggle to win. So I think everybody understands that, and especially with a school like Ohio State, you're going to get teams' best shot. Maryland played better last week than they had in the previous 2 weeks before that. So I think there's a realistic understanding that, there's concerns. And also I think, too, coaches, they like having that ammunition. They'll never admit it, but they like having that ammunition. Okay, you didn't play as well as you can or as well as you've shown, and that helps keep them on point.
Paul, this is a long time that Michigan and the Buckeyes were in a rivalry that was in the doldrums there for a while because Michigan was quite bad, much to our delight. And now, after last year, obviously that was a big win. What's the vibe like now that they're undefeated facing each other? This is a real rivalry again. What's the vibe like around the team and around the campus? Is it different?
Well, this vibe really started after losing that game last year. And Ryan Day talked about it a lot all summer, all during the fall, that what they needed to do was get their competitive excellence to a level to be able to compete to win a game like they lost last year in Ann Arbor. They know they need to be physically aggressive. They know they need to run the football. They've shown they can throw the football. They also knew that they needed to improve defensively, and we've seen that defensive improvement happen. You know, the question is it enough to defeat a team that's playing as well offensively as Michigan is, especially when it comes to running the football? But, you know, in this whole rivalry, in this whole series, dating back to Woody Hayes, everything they do, even though it's to get ready for Maryland, Northwestern, Iowa, Wisconsin, everything they do has the underlying purpose of trying to be ready for this final game of the regular season and doing what it takes to defeat their rival team.
Well, you know, Paul, I look at these two groups of individuals, and I kind of feel like we all know what Michigan's going to do. Michigan's best plan of action is just to be physical, run the football, control the clock, keep them off the field. For Ohio State, I feel like there's a little bit of an identity crisis a bit. Because if I look at their roster and I look at what they're doing, especially Marvin Harrison Jr., sometimes I think, well, why don't they just put the ball in C.J. Stroud's hands and say, hey, look, we're not going to try to out-physical you, outrun the ball because we got a lot of people out. Offensive line has been shaky here or there. At times, don't you think that they, might go out and just say, look, you know what? C.J. beat him. Let's throw the ball around the park and open it up because we're not going to try to do something that we know that it's going to be a problem against a team in Michigan, which that's their identity.
Well, hear what you're saying, but to be able to throw the ball successfully, there's got to be the threat to run the football. Go all the way back to week 1 and see what they did against Notre Dame. And you can think whatever you think about Notre Dame, how good they are or aren't, or maybe they didn't deserve to be number 5 to begin the season. But Ohio State won that game in the fourth quarter when they chewed a lot of clock and they really emphasized running the football. I think Travion Henderson, who is showing there, in that fourth quarter, he averaged about 7 yards per carry. But part of what allowed that to happen was Notre Dame had to be concerned about them going on top and throwing the ball the way they have. So I think what Ohio State's identity has been, and yes, it needs an injection of improvement when it comes to running the football, although Dallin Hayden looked awful good running it last Saturday at Maryland. What it is to be as multiple as they can. Not only Marvin Harrison, not only Emeka Egbuka, but Cade Stover has become such a weapon at tight end with what he's done. I mean, a tight end that has 3 catches of 30 yards or longer, a guy that's got 2 different games with 2 touchdown catches in each. So you try and take away Harrison and Egbuka, you got to deal with Stover. If you get crazy about trying to stop the pass, then you've got the running game. And this offensive line, when you look at what they've done over the course of the whole season, they have played at a good level. I don't know if you can say they've played as well as Michigan's has, but they have the potential to do that. So I think really what their identity is to be able to make a team think, okay, let's pick our poison. How do we want to try and defend them? The concern with Ohio State is you'd like to see them run the ball a little more consistently than they have lately.
What's your gut on Jackson Smith and Jigba? Is he going to play?
No gut feeling at all. And guys, here's the thing. Ever since he's become the head coach, Ryan Day has been very consistent about not giving any updates on injury. I know there was I think it was a print report that came out that Jackson's father indicated he might be ready for the Michigan game. No clue. I mean, we saw when he played against Notre Dame and he tried to come back in against Toledo, that it just, whatever the problem is, believe it's a hamstring, it just was not allowing him to be his 100% performance level type of wide receiver. Having said all of that, look at what they've done throwing the football. As much as you'd like to have him out there, even if anything, and we can say this, even if it's just as a decoy, is it somebody that Michigan has to pay attention to? Right. Now, the press conference is going to be a little later this morning, so we may or may not get any indication about that, but no idea what's going to happen with Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Paul, Maurice Claret's a regular on our show, and his take on this matchup this year is that this Ohio State team is perhaps a little too cute, a little too skills-driven, and not enough nasty. And he thinks Michigan has that nasty. They clearly did last year, and you mentioned that was the deciding factor. They owned the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. Do you agree with his assessment that this Buckeye team is maybe lacking some of that nasty?
Not entirely, but I hear where he's coming from. They don't have it like they had it when Maurice played in his one season there. And you talk about experienced offensive linemen and the way Maurice played the ball. Matter of fact, one of the biggest plays Maurice made in his one game against Michigan was catching a pass rather than running the football. I think it's an offensive line that does have some nastiness. We haven't seen it from the tailback spot the way Maurice and others have shown it. So I don't entirely agree with that, but I hear where he's coming from. But there's no question they're going to have it. Now, let's also keep in mind this is a football team coming off a game in which they committed 11 penalties at Maryland. So I think there has to be some control to that nastiness.
Paul, what do you think? I know it's been the case, it's changed over the years somewhat, but do you like the noon kickoff for this game, or would you rather it be later in the day?
I love noon kickoffs for any game. I really, honestly, I wish they went back to the old school style of having them at 1:30 in the afternoon. We have to live with how TV dictates when the game times start and all of that. But when you have to work at it, when it's your job, and it's a great job, and it's a great pleasure to be able to do it, but it's also kind of nice to get the game done and then still feel like you've got a little bit of an evening to yourself. Or if you're traveling, and you come back with the team on their charter after the game, that you get home at a decent time. I love the fact that it's in the daylight, even if it's overcast and there's snow like there was last year. I think college football was meant to be played in the afternoon. I mean, guys, think about this. That Maryland game last week started at 3:30. It was dark by halftime.
Yeah.
Especially in November. I think a game like this and so many of the others. Now, yeah, that's different on the West Coast or in the Southwest or different places. But I love this game being at noon.
Paul, just imagine being, instead of you, at least you get to watch a win and then go home and have a nice evening. Imagine being poor Jim Donovan, who has to cover the Browns, call a loss and then try and have a nice evening after that. At least you get to leave on a high note, right?
I understand. But, many years ago, I did games for the University of Cincinnati when they were one of the worst in Division I. And you learned how to drown your sorrows with stuff like that pretty quickly.
The crowd, being a home game and, obviously not wanting to lose back-to-back games in the first time in forever against Michigan. Obviously, the crowd is always pumped for this game. Do you think it'll be another level for this game this week?
Absolutely. And here's why. Keep in mind, this game did get played in 2020 when it was supposed to be here in Columbus. Somebody brought up after the last home game, there's a lot of students at Ohio State living on campus that have not experienced a Michigan-Ohio State game in Columbus. So I think the student body is going to be as jet-fueled as you can imagine. I think the fact that it's at home, and whether you go to Ann Arbor or Columbus, this game is always different in those stadiums from any other game that gets played during the course of the season. Add in the fact that it's two teams that are undefeated, all of the things that are at stake, a chance to play for a Big Ten championship, where it stands with the college football playoff possibility. I think this crowd, and you asked earlier about a 12 noon kickoff, it might be 5, 6 a.m. when some of that high-powered tailgating gets started.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you're right. When you look at the run game for this Ohio State team, it's just you've had the dings to your two stalwarts, and now Dallin Hayden, who is not really, in my eyes, he's not a freshman anymore. I mean, he's had, I believe, 100 carries. It certainly feels like a sophomore. And last week, there were a couple of those carries that he came just within a whisker of breaking. How much, if Hayden has to carry the load, how much, if any, drop-off do you see at that position if it's not Henderson?
Don't think there's any drop-off when you consider what he's done the last 2 weeks, back-to-back 100-yard rushing games. He seems to be very decisive and very immediate about getting to the place where the play is called and blocked for. Now, there's a lot of speculation that Mayan Williams didn't play last week to allow him to be at his physical peak for this week's game.
Right.
And we've seen through the course of the whole season, when Mayan Williams is out there, he runs with an attitude.
He does.
So, if Travion Henderson can get his foot healed up, then that gives him another threat too. But what Dallin Hayden did last week, I think, brought a little comfort as far as the feelings people have about this running group that the Buckeyes have. But, but if Mayan Williams is able to go, that might be where it starts, but I certainly would expect that you're going to see a healthy dose of Dallin Hayden.
Paul, yesterday somebody brought up the fact that obviously they're banged up. One of their guards, whose name I can't think of right now, may be out, and that would be a big concern. I always think with Ohio State, you got so much talent, next guy up, no big deal. Is it a big deal if they are missing a starting offensive lineman?
I think that might be Matthew Jones that they were talking about, who got hurt late in the game at Maryland. The thing that kind of helps a little bit, if you look down the schedule and you see a lot of those lopsided games that Ohio State had early in the year, they were able to get a lot of their backups some significant reps in some of those games. Think back to 2020, the pandemic season, and a really truncated schedule. One of the things that became a factor into 2021, they didn't get a lot. They didn't have any non-conference games. They didn't get any of those games where in the third and fourth quarter they could get a lot of reps for a lot of backups. And you kind of saw guys last year having to learn on the fly. They've had some of that this year. They had a game a couple weeks ago, the Indiana game, where DeJuan Jones didn't play and Josh Fryer came in and played very, very well at tackle. Enoch Vimahi has been around for a while. If he has to go and play some Matthew Jones, he's an experienced backup. So they feel like they've got some depth that have had significant number of reps, but you'd like to have your best guys going against an outstanding defense.
Paul, do you think you'll see two quarterbacks from Michigan? I've seen Harbaugh do it a little bit. I know the quarterback that played last year was injured. Do you think the Buckeyes might see two quarterbacks in this game?
I don't think so. I understand why you asked that question. I think if McNamara had been healthier during the course of the year, maybe that would have been a possibility. But I think what this guy has done this year for Michigan, J.J. McCarthy, he's earned the right to be out there. Now, the interesting part's going to be, because of their success running the ball and the way they've been able to beat teams, he hasn't really been put in a position to have to stretch the ball deep downfield and look for explosive passing plays. They haven't needed to do that. But he's had a fantastic season. Under that circumstance, I don't think we would see two, barring an injury.
Yeah, but you talk about McCarthy not needing to throw the ball. I would hope that, the perfect scenario for the Bucs would be to get a couple of big scores early, get that crowd behind them, and put Michigan in a situation where they have to throw it. They are no question a run-first team. I don't feel like there's a confidence level with Harbaugh and McCarthy if they have to throw it all over the place to come from behind. So hopefully the doctor orders a couple of quick scores, get that crowd, as you say, which will be energized, fueled up, and ride this thing to 12-0, get on to the Big Ten championship game and see what happens. Paul, thank you so much for the time. I know you got to run.
Thanks, Paul.
Have a great Paul on Saturday, and go Bucs.
All right, guys. Nice to talk to you again.
You too.
Thank you.
This is one of those games where, and there's a lot of times where I anticipate the Sunday game for the Browns, but this is one of those games where I really do think about it from the time the game ends Saturday, the previous game, every single day leading up to it. I just can't wait for the thing to kick off.
Would you be feeling this way if the Browns were competent?
Sure.
Same way.
Yeah.
Or would
you'd just be excited about both.
Be excited.
Yeah.
But this is the one, you're putting more weight on this than you would if the Browns were competent.
All of my football life, my success, what I would deem a successful season, has always come down to Ohio State, with the exception of 3 years. So I've always put so much more into Ohio State. I know they have a better shot at winning.
Yeah.
But this is one of those games where no matter what happens, unless it's a blowout on Michigan's side, I don't think anything's going to surprise me. A close win either way. I wouldn't be surprised if Ohio State did win by double digits. What would really surprise me is if Michigan handled this game easily.
I think the way Michigan plays, I just think Ohio State's gonna have a hard time running the ball. And you just said something that I would want to get out to a fast start. So I'd come out and I'm telling you what, my goal would be I need some quick touchdowns, and then I'm going to get them in a position where, just like the Cleveland Browns, they are pretty much a one-dimensional team. They don't have any great receivers. They don't even have really that many great tight ends, right? You know, their strength is the running game, multiple running backs, and the fact that they can move the chains methodically. If you get Michigan down 14, that's a whole different game than if you playing the game. If it's 3 or 6-3 after the first quarter, Ohio State's in trouble. Yeah. I don't like that pace. I don't like it at all. They need to do what they need to do to get some quick score touchdowns.
They can kill clock, too. Michigan can.
They do with the best of them.
I hope that this is one of those games where Ohio State gets the ball first, just because I could see Michigan taking the opening drive 10 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
And if it's 7-0 with 5 minutes to go in the first, that place hasn't had a chance to cheer and to get behind the team. You almost lose the home crowd before you ever touch the football.
Look what Alabama did. Look, when they played in the college football Final Four last year, they said, look, you're not going to be able to run this ball. And when they had to get a chance to throw the football, they couldn't throw the football.
Right.
So if you get Michigan down, it can be 10-0. 10-0 to Michigan is a tough little uphill climb.
Isn't it really nice, though, that rivalry is back? Remember, those years were grim. And what's interesting is both of our big rivalries are back now for different reasons. Because for a long time, Michigan was trash, so we just had to pretend like that was still a rivalry, even though Ohio State was going to trounce them. And the Browns were trash forever, so you knew the Steelers were going to trounce them. So our rivalries were shot.
Right.
Okay, but now Michigan got better. It went the other way in the NFL, and Pittsburgh came down to our level and is trash like us now.
It would have been better if we'd come up to
I
your
would have
level.
preferred that. But the point is, at least these are both fair matches again, and anybody can win.
No,
so it's not a
lot more fun.
It's not a foregone conclusion
100%. I never understood the fans rooting for Michigan to suck. I don't know why you want.
No, I've never done
to be
that.
fun.
Isn't it more exciting when they're good and you beat them?
Absolutely.
So the thing is, like last year, obviously the weather played. The Michigan's the more physically tough team. They're the more grinded out, run the ball team, and the weather played to their advantage in a big time way last year. This year, there is some rain in the forecast for Saturday, but the temperature's supposed to be in the 50s. So
warmer,
it's not going to be like it's snowing and it's like I think. Listen, there have been times where the Buckeyes have struggled offensively in pockets this year. But when it comes down to it, they're always able to make plays in the end and score points throwing the ball, even if they do struggle rushing. And I think they'll do it again. And again, to G's point, I think he's right. If Ohio State has the lead, Michigan's in big trouble. If Michigan has the lead, Ohio State's never out of it because they can score quickly throwing the ball.
Yeah.
And even if they do struggle running a little bit, which they may, I still think they can. The weather will be such that they will still be able to throw the ball. I think it's going to be a close game, though. But I think that I wouldn't be surprised. Like I'm expecting the Buckeyes to win between 3 and 7 points. That's what
that would be. Look, one would be fine. Last year, I thought the difference maker in the game was Aiden Hutchinson. Yeah, he controlled what the Buckeyes were trying to do at the line of scrimmage. He was when they were running it, he was stuffing the run. When they were dropped back to pass, he was constantly in the backfield all day long, disrupting the timing and just creating havoc. And by the way, he's having a hell of a rookie year for the Lions. He had a nice interception on Sunday, and the Lions suddenly are turning things around. But I think they lack that blue chip, top 5 NFL draft type talent this year on the defensive front. They've played well. But when you look at how their season has unfolded, if Brett Bielema doesn't take his foot off the gas, they lose last week.
They had no business winning that game.
They had no business.
No business.
They won that game because Bielema thought that it was over when it was 17-10. And he just, for whatever reason, decided that he was just going to call a conservative fourth quarter. And Michigan got the 3 field goals in the fourth quarter, one at the end of the game to win it. But I believe they had to convert a 4th down on that last drive that led to a field goal. I mean, they should have won that game, Illinois. Yeah. So, look, Ohio State struggled against Maryland. And
Northwestern.
So it's really hard to extrapolate when you look at, they played this opponent tough, and that was an easy win for Ohio State when they played them. That doesn't work with this game. It's a rivalry game. The adage absolutely holds true. Records mean nothing. What you've done that year means nothing. It's who really wants it more.
Right.
And last year, I thought Michigan wanted it more.
No doubt. And the stats don't mean anything because, I don't care what Michigan's done against the passing game because they haven't faced a passing game like Ohio State has.
They have not.
This is not the NFL where, 3/4 of the teams are good, or at least reasonably good at throwing or passing. Yeah. Whereas in college, Michigan might have only faced 2 teams that are good at throwing the ball all year.
True. Very true.
So their statistics against the pass don't mean anything to me.
Michigan's best cover guy is undersized. He's slightly under 6 feet, about 175 pounds. I would think that Harrison is going to be matched up against him all day long because it is their number one if they decide to man Harrison. Harrison's 6'4" and plays 6'6". He has great range.
Yeah.
So I think that is the individual matchup that C.J. Stroud needs to exploit. He's a great cover guy. He's the fastest guy on Michigan's team. So he's got good closing speed. He's going to stick with Harrison. It's going to be whether or not Stroud can put the ball to Harrison when he's covered, where only he can catch the ball.
Yeah.
And they've done that all year long.
Right.
They're going to have to do it Saturday. McNuggets, you got something?
Before we pivot to the Browns here, I want to ask you guys this. Is Harrison the best player in this game? Will he be the best player in the field regardless?
Yes.
Is Blake Corum 2 a healthy Blake Corum 2? Michigan's running back.
No.
I don't know that he is. I just think
Would you put Stroud at 2? I'm just saying, let's rank the top 5 players in this game for people who may not follow these teams as religiously as we do.
I'd be interested.
Corum's had a great year, but he's had so many opportunities. They're just a run team, and he's the running back in this offense. He's good. He's low to the ground. He's got that sort of Barry Sanders-esque build. I saw he was giving turkeys away on Sunday.
I wanted to give. That's one of the feel-good stories about NIL. Everyone thought NIL was going to ruin college football. It certainly changed the landscape, but Corum used a lot of his NIL money. He got 300 turkeys,
which was awesome. I love it. I wanted to highlight that. And there was I think it was I can't remember who they were playing. It may have been last week against Illinois.
He got banged up.
He did get banged up. He said Sunday when he was giving out the turkeys, he's fine and he's going to be out on the field. Of course he's going to say that. But there was a moment that the TV cameras caught. I think it was against Illinois when he was coming out to start the game. There was a young boy in a wheelchair in the tunnel, and
it was Illinois. It was before last week.
Yeah, he didn't do it for the cameras because there was no camera there. It was a fixed camera in the tunnel that caught the shot. He stopped. He took time for the young man. He had a conversation with him. He signed an autograph for him, and you could tell it just made this kid's year.
Yeah.
And by all accounts, he's a great individual. He certainly seems like it. But they're going to have to stop him on Saturday.
It's unfortunate he's on that team.
It's always good, money is a thing in this country. It's never a bad idea to not have people live in poverty. Just it's okay.
Agree to disagree.
Just give them a little money.
So let's just rank the top 5 though, because Polk, I know you said you're not even super familiar.
Do we even all agree that Harrison is the best player?
Harrison has to be one.
I feel he is.
Yes.
But I think C.J. Stroud is very close too.
Stroud, depending on what you want to mark it as, Stroud will probably go higher.
Stroud will definitely drafted higher.
Yeah, he'll be drafted.
Quarterback.
Now, the running back from Michigan, he's okay. He's but
just because he's a quarterback doesn't mean he's going to get drafted higher. It depends. I mean, it's not always quarterbacks that go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
A running back will not be drafted.
No. Oh, I thought you were comparing to Marvin Harrison.
Oh, no. Marvin Harrison's only a sophomore.
Yeah, he can't even be drafted.
Right.
There is already talk that Marvin Harrison could be the number 1 overall pick next year.
Wow.
He's that good.
He's that good.
And he couldn't even get on the field last year. That's how much.
And then when he finally got on the field in the Rose Bowl, he went bananas.
So he didn't.
That is funny. He's buried.
No, I believe he was a true freshman last year.
He was a true freshman last year.
And now he's in year 2, so he's got to come back next year. But
that's a case where a guy does not need to go 3 years in college.
No, probably not. He's ready right now. Who's the color guy for Fox's A team?
Joe Klatt.
Klatt loves him. Klatt.
He says he's the best receiver in the country.
Yeah, and I think he made some comments alluding to the fact that he could be top of the draft material. I mean, he's got the lineage, which you love.
Yeah.
He's got the work ethic.
He's huge.
He's got the size. He's bigger than his dad
unless he gets hurt or there's a quarterback next year who's just like an all-time great prospect.
Sure. Yeah.
He's certainly
I would think he's going to be top 3 or 4.
How tall is he?
6'4".
Yeah, I mean, he's got the size.
Bigger than his dad.
He's 6'4", 220, and runs a 4.44.
And the fact that his dad was great is going to make you think he's going to be great too.
Right.
Because
he's talented. The lineage is there. And they've talked ad nauseum about his work ethic. You know, he'll catch 1,000 balls from the jugs machine on an off day in the summer.
You know,
like that's for a guy
Monday, Jay, you sent us the 2 pictures. One was the sad Browns fan against Miami. The other one was the absolutely mind-boggling, physics-defying catch from Marvin Harrison Jr.
But were you on when we showed that?
Easily.
I don't think so.
I think because that might have been.
It was Monday.
It was our final take, and I don't think you were on Monday.
This Monday?
It
was after the Miami game.
It was the still of the Marvin Harrison catch. Did you see that?
I don't think I saw it.
Do we still have that in the system?
Yeah, we can find it. We can find it.
It's one of those. When he made the catch, I literally, I let the play run out, and I immediately went back on the DVR, and I was going frame by frame by frame because what I thought I saw is what I actually saw, but I had to confirm it.
It looks like a horror movie.
It does because his whole body was out of bounds.
Yes.
Everything was out of bounds. He actually had the core strength and the presence of mind to keep his left foot off of the ground and reach back with his right
where
foot
it is.
to tap it
Yes,
inbounds
that's where his foot is.
to make the catch.
I know, it's like an illusion.
I don't even remember that play. Why can't I remember that
it was
play?
unbelievable.
Look at that.
It was
only like it was like a 7-yard game ball. It
was a
wasn't
quick
that big
slant.
of a play.
It was a quick out.
Do you know like what your crotch would feel? My crotch would feel like the next day.
We'd have broken
If I
bones.
did that to myself,
if any of us had to assume that position, we'd have
I would
broken
never
bones.
walk again if
I
I
can't even
did that.
figure out.
Where everything is.
Right.
So, Bull,
Yeah.
he's
You
in the
need, like,
process
you need
of completely falling to the
Yes.
ground, and both feet are off the ground.
Right.
And he knows that if any part of his body
That's right. In
hits,
college, it's only 1 foot.
right, and he knows if any part of his body hits the ground before he taps a foot,
Look at that.
it's not a catch.
Look at that ref. He's like, oh my God, what are you doing?
The ref,
the
ref pulled a hamstring on that.
He
play.
did. Yep. That
in the
ref,
history of college football.
my
There's
God.
never been a better
that
7-yard
ref has
catch.
PTSD.
Actually, speaking of, can't nobody even get in the ref's position. What you talking
No,
about?
I couldn't do that either. Even that looks painful.
Yeah,
to me.
he ain't like
Ref
doing
looks
that.
like he's dropping a deuce right there.
I know.
It is an incredible
I would
catch.
too if I saw that catch.
That
But
is
I
crazy.
will say Jackson Smith and Jigba, like, so the messed up part about it is everything they said about Marvin Harrison, they said about Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Yes.
Everything they said
Yes.
about Jackson Smith and Jigba, they said about Wilson. Everything they said about Wilson, they said about Olave. So it's kind of hard because you be numb
Wilson's
to
screwed though because he's in a terrible
you kind of
situation.
numb to
He
it.
is.
But he destroyed us. He got it together when he was
No, he did.
blasting the Browns.
Brian
but-
Hartline. I mean, we've had him on the show.
We got to
He's a
get him
great
back.
guest. We do
gotta
have to get him back.
Yeah, he's a pistol.
He
Just
could
when
probably
you
take whatever
think of
job
the-
he wants right now. But I don't think he wants to go. It doesn't seem like.
He doesn't. I think what he wants to do, guys, is go right to being a head coach in the NFL.
In the NFL.
In the NFL.
I can see that. I mean,
And he's done it as a player in the NFL ranks. So he's got the pedigree.
Do you think you saw that Jeff Saturday
No,
hiring?
it's
He's like,
called-
yeah, hey,
guys.
Hey,
I mean, at the very least,
probably
You
because
don't think
Jeff, he's the best position coach
Sure.
at wide receiver in college football already. So he's further ahead than Jeff
he gets
Saturday
the best.
was.
He's gotten the best talent, and he's developed them all. Like he develops one after the next.
Yeah.
After the next.
what I would call that
Even the backups.
That is
Yes.
the new Saturday is known as a gentleman's finesse. You just move right around the board. You're like, okay, I did this, I did this, I did this. The Saturday clause is in effect. Now he's able to be hired.
Well, what if Jeff Saturday goes 1-6 the rest of the way?
Oh, no, it's just the move that counts.
It doesn't matter.
Well, it does have to be successful for other teams to steal.
Yeah. It's a precedent move. Even if it wasn't successful, you know the great thing they do when they talk about it in history, it was before its time.
Sure. Yeah.
The move was before
Well, what's
its
funny
time,
though is it's
and
just
now it works.
all they're doing is going back to the way they used to do it.
Yeah.
That's the way they used to do it.
See?
Yeah.
And so what's interesting to me about the Saturday thing is, and it's just
Although
two
Harline
games.
wouldn't be the same thing because he's been coaching.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
It's different.
So-
But there's been 2 games. It's not enough of a sample size to figure this out whether it's been successful. But the early indication is it's worked.
I don't know about that. I mean, he's 1-1.
but
They
the-
were a 500. They were what?
They were
a game under 500.
I think they were 3-4-1 when they made the move.
They were 3-4-1. They're 4-5.
The Colts,
5-1
the Colts,
now.
the owner forced him to bench Matt Ryan, and then all of a
Yeah,
sudden,
that was odd.
And then Saturday came back, and Matt Ryan wasn't benched
Now,
anymore.
I'm wondering if there was a conversation beforehand where Saturday said, I'm not taking that job. I
probably
I
was
need a
it. So
quarterback.
that's not fair to the
Well,
other
I'll
coach.
let you play
Yeah.
Matt Ryan, but the other, and by the way, Frank Reich was a proven commodity. I mean,
and by
he
the way,
had
this
success
idea
there.
that the Colts are now not using analytics is untrue.
I didn't watch all the game. What I heard from someone who covered the game was he made a lot of decisions that aren't being made in the NFL today. I don't know what he meant by that. He just said it's back to it's unconventional today, but it's conventional the old
Like he's not
school
looking
way.
at a chart that says on
No.
4th down you're supposed to go if it's at
And
the
Jeff,
20.
and,
No, they
and I
made
know
the
Jeff,
point-
and I know Jeff's philosophy, and I've talked a lot about football with Jeff. Jeff is absolutely an old school guy. He may look at analytics and he may use analytics because but look,
Yes.
people used analytics in the 60s.
Yeah, but
this
he
isn't
was
new to football.
He was on. At one point I was watching the game, and he was on the headsets, or I don't know if he was talking with them directly, and they showed the booth. And the announcer, I can't remember who the announcer was, that's the Colts head of analytics, talking with Saturday or whoever. So
entirely possible, and
Yeah.
I'm sure they have a guy.
I
and I'm
don't
sure
know
they're
what
gonna
could
use
he
it.
have done that nobody else is doing.
I don't know.
Well, I can give you what he did that nobody else did.
What?
In the game, it's either somebody like you or they don't. When somebody does not like you, if I don't like you as a person, I'm not going to
So
play.
you're saying the players are behind him.
Yeah,
is
That's
what
not
it is.
definitely
unique.
behind
That's not unique to Jeff
no.
Saturday.
That's unique to the world. Like if you vote for a president,
Yeah.
it don't matter if
Who you want to have a beer with.
It don't matter if you know anything or you were Secretary of State or
Yep.
you were a congressman. We vote on people we like and identify with.
Yeah.
If we can do
Well,
that for the
we
high,
shouldn't do it that way.
well,
but-
I'm just saying,
Right.
for the highest level
yes.
we do, people say, hey, I'll work with you. People get hired because
All right,
they
but
say,
until Jeff listen, in the end, I don't care that he got the job or not. My only point was that he got an unfair advantage. Whether you think that matters or not, who cares? But I thought it was pretty obvious that he got a fair advantage. But ultimately, he hasn't proven anything yet. He's 1-1. I don't care about close
that's what I
losses.
said. It's
in
too
the NFL,
small.
all
But
matters is win or lose.
All you can do is judge him by what we've seen so far. And
Yes.
honestly, the Eagles game.
Yeah.
Now I know at the end they lost.
That's all that matters.
It is.
Yeah.
However, they had to convert a 4th down on that last drive. The Eagles or the game was over.
I hear you, but it's not like the
And the
Colts
Eagles
were
are a great team.
But it's not like the Eagles are a really good team. But the Colts, it's not
What
like
are the
Colts,
Eagles? 9-1.
Yeah, but it's not like the Colts were awful. They were a game under 500. They weren't idiots.
But they clearly were not performing up to what they
But-
thought they were going to do.
However, you got to look at it like this. So you're telling me the Colts wasn't a bad team, but yet and still they went in and said,
Change the coach.
We're firing our head coach.
not living up to
Mid-season.
expectations.
Not the head coach. We just want to get rid of the coordinator. We can't get that done.
Well, so now Jim Irsay is some sort of genius?
We don't know. To be determined.
He's smart. I always believe if you are a leader of people, it is better to make swift, decisive action rather than let
Well,
things sit.
when you've come to your conclusion,
And you
Yeah.
here's
know
what's
it.
bothersome about me. Someone made this point to me yesterday when we were talking about. You made the point. Well, what are we going to do? Just sit on our hands and wait? Just waste the last 7 games, knowing that the decision is wrong? I think where we have to give Jim Irsay credit, whether this turns out right or wrong, when you as an owner or the leader of a company have realized that it's the wrong fit, and you continue traveling down the road knowing it's the wrong fit,
Yeah.
you're doing a disservice to everybody in the organization.
That's fine, but it's not unique that he did. That he fired a coach in the middle of the season.
And
it's
also subjective.
Right, but we're saying we give him credit for that.
It's also
he made the
subjective.
decision.
It's up to him. That was his decision.
Sure, it always is the
Haslam
owner's
makes these
decision.
decisions all the time. Just making the decision doesn't make it the right one because you were decisive about it.
No,
you might be
wrong.
He's determined.
If he made the decision that Frank Reich was the wrong guy for this team, and he did.
Yeah.
It's sometimes, here's another question, and Steve put it in our chat. If we're going to talk about firing coaches, let's start throwing out replacements. If you fire a coach before you have a coach in mind, that oftentimes is misguided. I think in this case, for Irsay, he knew from talking to Jeff Saturday about this team for years, he knew who he wanted to go with. That may have made his decision to pull ripcord on Reich a little bit easier. But to the point that as it relates to the Browns, it feels like we have not asked one person. In fact, yesterday was the first time he got an endorsement from somebody. And that was when Denzel Ward stood up and said he's a good coordinator, he shouldn't be fired. Everybody we've asked to a person on this show, from Tim Couch and Leroy Horde and Robert Smith, all of our regular analysts, should he be fired? No one has said, no, you got to keep him.
Nobody.
Most everybody has said it's time.
Yeah.
So when the obvious is right there in front of you and the team is not making the decision, you're going down a road with a tire you know is flat.
Well,
why not make a move?
I think it seems obvious to us. For some reason, they don't think that's the case.
Do you think?
Well, then I start judging. I start questioning their judgment.
But Stefanski,
how is everybody saying this?
Does Stefanski have the autonomy to make that decision?
Well, we asked that yesterday. Bull has been asking that.
I think he does.
He should as the head
I would
coach.
assume he does. Obviously, we don't know that for sure.
Should we assume that with Jimmy Haslam?
I guess
most head coaches do.
I can't imagine. Why would Jimmy if Kevin Stefanski wanted to fire Joe Woods, why would Jimmy Haslam stand in his way? As much as I've criticized Jimmy Haslam, it just doesn't make any sense.
No, I can't imagine he would.
I would imagine.
So I got to put that on Kevin Stefanski.
So then it's on Kevin Stefanski.
I agree. Yeah, I think it's on Kevin Stefanski.
And plus, you want to talk about who do you get to bring in to take the position? Well, if you fire him, you can start putting feelers out, can you not? You can start saying, hey, I want this coach. Can we back channel this coach? What defense do we want to run next year? Because you got to think about it. A new coach can come in and say, what if they want to run a 3-4?
Right.
What if your personnel dictates what you can run, but if you get a new defensive coordinator and say, well, look, I like Myles Garrett, but I want to run this defense over here. We don't got the pieces and parts for it. What you're playing to get me those pieces and parts. You got to start having them conversations now rather than later, and then you get it. What'll happen is you'll get a coordinator, you'll bring him in after the season, and then the first thing he'll say is, well, this is going to be a work in progress because I don't have my personnel. Right. And then you got a whole nother year. We talking about, well, you got to give him time because he doesn't have his people.
Well,
you started.
But we know they got to remake the whole front seven, no matter who they bring in as a coach. I mean, I don't care what the philosophy of the next DC is. They've got to
rebuild the front seven, or they have to start force feeding them Built Bars to build up the strength in the middle.
Maybe both.
Because without some strength in the middle, it doesn't matter who they're playing. Tampa Bay, who was the 32nd ranked rushing offense, is going to run down their throats. Tampa Bay averages 70 rushing yards per game.
Dead last in the league.
You have 4 Built Bars. That's 72 grams of protein. 4 Built Bars equals Tampa Bay's rushing offense. You can buy those for 15% off on Built.com.
I feel energized already.
15. G. Bush, what were you saying? I apologize.
Oh, no. You
killed them. By the way, speaking of Tampa Bay's running game, not only are they last in terms of percentage of running plays.
I can't believe I can't believe they didn't make a trade with the Browns.
Here's something interesting, though, is this kid they drafted, whose name's escaping me now, Rachaad White, has been playing a little more and more lately. I wonder, coming off their bye, if he's going to be starting for them over Fournette this week.
Remember when camp opened and Fournette showed up, looked like he just ate like 5
and he's not having a good year, but they're not really committing to the run either. No, I mean, they're throwing the ball.
But Paul Keels said it, and it's a fact.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're one-dimensional, you have nothing.
I can't believe he showed up in front of Brady like that. Can you imagine showing up in front of Tom Brady like fat?
Who hasn't eaten anything the color wasn't green in like 9 years.
You could be one-dimensional when you have Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen.
Even they have a running game.
Not really. Kansas City doesn't.
If you watch them Sunday night against the Chargers, they ran the ball.
Yeah, but
they ran it effectively.
For the most part this season, they have not.
They've tried. It's not like they've tried. Tampa Bay doesn't even try.
They don't, and Tom Brady at this point is not as good as Allen and Mahomes.
Could you imagine, though, Hunt in that offense?
Oh, they will.
I'm just stunned they didn't.
That is
what was the price? A couple of draft picks, maybe?
I don't know. Maybe because they were under 500, they didn't want to go all in.
But in that division, they're in first place.
I know.
Yeah.
I think they listen.
That division's so
I
bad.
think one of the things they don't
Saints are right there.
They do not want the LeBron James factor. Tom Brady, usually teams go all in on Tom. Whatever you want, Tom, let's get to. They're looking at him like, listen, you got maybe how many years? You kind of got a divorce. Are you going to be here next year?
I think this is
there
it
a chance
for Tom.
Brady goes somewhere else next year?
I think this is it.
Yeah.
It's got to be it,
I
right?
think it's it.
Do you think, though, it's such a sad walk into the sunset?
Is
it really
it? I mean, listen.
I bet they'll still make the playoffs.
Don't write this guy off.
No,
we've
no.
learned
They're playing
in the
much
past.
better the
They
last
haven't
three
lost
years.
since
You're
his
right.
Much
divorce.
better the
But
last
they
three
haven't. He
years.
hasn't lost
Really.
since
The
divorce.
bar was
Okay,
low, but they are playing
But the
better.
question
It's
is,
one
so
game.
is it dependent? Is whether he retires dependent upon how this season ends for him?
Yeah, but that 2 games ago, he didn't do anything until the last.
Can he leave this season not making the playoffs, having gotten divorced publicly in front of the world, and just be like, all right, I guess I'll go do commentary?
I guess
he's
you
got
never
a
know,
job.
but-
He's got a job waiting for him where he's going to get a pay raise.
He's not the
think
same.
about that.
He has finally gone downhill. He's not bad.
Yeah.
He's certainly not bad.
doesn't care about that.
But he's not.
He
elite.
has 2 picks.
I mean, look at him. We're talking about
like-
he's got
like
2
he's
interceptions, and we're talking about him like he's all done.
No. I didn't say he's
He
all
has more
done.
touchdown passes than Brissett, too.
We're
And
asking him if he's
Brissett
going to play
is
next
so
year, and he's
far
60 years
exceeded
old. I don't think we're
expectations.
not giving him the
12
benefit of the doubt.
66% of his
12
passes.
touchdowns in 10 games for Tom Brady is not
Now,
great.
let's also
those
take
are
into account
Brissett numbers.
Yeah, but Godwin and Evans have been ghosts.
They've
They've
been out
been
of the
hurt
lineup.
all year.
Well, not Godwin has.
Evans
hasn't
has
been
too.
that
I got
hurt.
both of them on my fantasy team.
Yeah, but
What's
still,
their record?
guys, in the past,
5 and
they're
5.
5-5.
they're 5-5 in a bad division. Tom Brady's not. It's clear Tom Brady has declined. Finally, he's not. I'm not saying he sucks.
Yeah.
I'm just saying he's declined.
Right.
He's not as high.
I'll take that decline.
Give me 46-year-old Tom
If I
Brady.
can have that decline.
Yes.
You guys have been making fun of Jacoby Brissett with his 11 touchdowns. Tom Brady's got 1 more, and they throw the ball way more than the Browns
no
do.
run game.
No
so
run
everybody
game.
knows what they're going to do.
He has 2 picks.
Everybody knows he's going to throw 40 times
I
a
hear
game.
you. I'm just. It's. All I'm saying is he's not as good as he
No
was
one wants to
the last couple of years.
speculate as to my question about whether or not, seriously, it's dependent upon how he finishes this year.
Yeah.
Do you
I
see
mean,
him?
who knows what's in his head, though?
Well, I don't know. I mean, we have a pretty good representation at this point, what motivates him and what doesn't.
I do
what's
think he's
important
gonna play
to him.
one more year.
You think he'll play one
I
more
do.
Now, do you think he'll play one more year regardless of how this season ends? Or you
Yes.
Think,
Well, I guess if they won the Super Bowl,
Yeah.
but they're not.
Right, but if they go to the playoffs and they get knocked out in the first
Yes,
round,
I think he's gonna play one more year.
one more year.
Yeah, he's gonna play.
All right, okay, so you think he's got one more year in him?
Yeah, he'll
I
play.
don't. I think
You
this
don't.
is
You think
it.
he's done, no matter what?
It feels like he
Win or
should
lose.
be done, but
Win or lose.
But I don't know.
Win or lose, is he done?
If he wins, he's out
I
here.
think
He's out
Well,
of
there's
here.
no chance he's doing it.
If they
Well,
win the Super
I
Bowl.
should never say no chance
Yeah,
with Tom
please
Brady,
don't.
but it's unlikely they win the Super Bowl. But
I'm saying I'll
I
have a
think
good
he's
story.
going to play
No
somewhere
chance.
else next year.
What
I
was
think
it,
he's-
7 years ago when the famous were on to Cincinnati? He
Yeah.
was 39.
Yeah.
They were, I think, 2-3 or whatever their record was, and Belichick made the famous on to Cincinnati. He kept saying that in the news
Yeah, right.
conference. And they went nuts the rest of the way, and he won the Super Bowl, and everybody's like, oh,
Right.
my
Let me
God.
tell you,
He's won a Super Bowl since
I
then.
think he's going to pick a team that he thinks can win the Super Bowl with him next
just
year.
go over there like a hermit crab.
And I would be sick.
He was positioning to go to Miami.
If he goes
It's
to
San Francisco.
Pittsburgh,
Oh, stop it with the Pittsburgh. Nobody's going to Pittsburgh.
Why
Their
would he?
offensive line stinks. He ain't
Wait.
He ain't playing behind some terrible offensive line.
You just McNuggets just gave the only possible scenario
What?
that I could see he plays next year.
Yeah.
He's from San Francisco.
Yeah.
He grew up a Joe Montana and a Niners fan. We know Garoppolo isn't the answer. So
I'll tell
could you imagine Tom Brady with those weapons?
I hear you.
yeah, that's-
I got to give Garoppolo credit. I've never been a Garoppolo guy. He's having a magnificent season.
I
looked
begged for
great
him
last night.
I begged for him at the
Yeah,
beginning
I
of
know.
the
Brissett's playing well,
entire
too.
season.
Brissett's
I know.
playing well,
I
too.
know.
McNuggets.
But
if you go ahead,
But
talk
stop
to Tom
with the
Brady.
Steelers nonsense.
Go ahead, talk to Tom Brady's people.
Tom Brady ain't going to the Steelers. He ain't playing somewhere cold. No chance.
Hey, he could go to San Francisco.
I could see him in San
I
Francisco.
like that move.
Yeah,
I could
San
see him
Francisco
there.
makes
Debo
sense.
Samuel.
And that's who I mean, I don't think the Browns are going to win the Super Bowl this year, you guys. So now it's time for us to pick.
Wait, what?
Oh, I know. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be.
So I
Johnny
can plan
Downside.
I can make plans first week of February.
Who's the best team in the NFL
I
wut
wanna
a quarterback?
Say, who do we
quarterback?
want to have win the Super Bowl if since the Browns can't. And I would like to see this
Buffalo.
Tom Brady thing happen. Now,
I want Buffalo.
I would like to see Tom Brady
I
run
like
it
the
back.
Bengals if it's not the Browns.
Of course you would. I want to see Tom Brady run it back.
Screw you, Bull.
Yeah, but Buffalo, I love Buffalo. Buffalo would be fun too, but I feel like they're going to get theirs. I would like to see Tom Brady just for the hell of it.
Buffalo is my adopted
I want him
team
on the
this year.
divorce.
I've never done that before.
Divorce revenge tour, Super Bowl. How many would this be for him?
He's got 7.
This would be number 8. That'd be fantastic.
If you're the
that's
other
how it
team,
went.
are you like hiring Giselle to come in and like hook up with her boyfriend?
100%. 100%.
You should do that.
Yeah.
Hey, bro, Tom don't.
Have her come to media day as a reporter and just badger Tom.
Hey, hold on.
What's the Wi-Fi password?
MTV's talking to her right now about
yeah.
that deal.
No
Will you be our media day reporter?
No disrespect, but
Tom, is it true you're a selfish lover?
Jesus. Tom,
I have it from a very good source.
Tom can upgrade, right?
Yeah.
So but here's the problem.
Yeah.
If you're dating Giselle after Tom Brady,
Yeah.
how do you think you're ever going to get any sort of respect? You can't. You're never going to be higher than Tom Brady.
Now she's dating her karate
Well, unless he was
instructor or
lousy in
something.
bed.
That stinks.
That
Yeah.
still don't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
That's only you know that. Only you know that. The world says, oh, Tom or Giselle. Well, Tom's dating this 14-year-old or something crazy. Might as well be 19.
That guy's got nothing
She
to
looks
lose.
like she's
I'd love to be the
teenage. She look
dirtbag following
teenagers.
Tom Brady, like the next boyfriend after Tom Brady. That's fantastic. That's a great spot.
th-
Come
that-
on, judge me, world. And you can't be better than Tom Brady. Just,
Ever.
You know, I'm drinking a high life. Just want you to be the complete opposite.
Think
That'd
about
be
it.
fun.
She talked about, hey, where do you want to go out to eat? You can't even take her. You going to Texas Roadhouse, bro.
Exactly.
You don't even know these backdoor little restaurants Tom Brady be getting into. Like vacation used to be. We used to own the own island.
Yeah.
Now you trying to get your Marriott reward points off. Trying to be like, we get to upgrade the suite.
I mean,
I don't think she's got to worry about Marriott reward
She doesn't have to
points.
date our circle of friends.
Yeah, yo.
There is a higher echelon of human
It's
that we
all
don't
bad,
relate to.
man. It's bad, man. You got to open the door and everything.
Yeah.
Her
But
kids,
to your point, like, whoever it is,
it's
Yeah.
a wrap.
Right.
it just doesn't matter.
It don't matter.
Like,
What
if she
Brady's
dated
got a
Aaron
3-inch
Rodgers,
flunker?
it's a step down.
Has a what?
A 3-inch wonker.
Oh, my God.
Like, that's the only thing, right?
It's Thanksgiving.
Hold on, you guys.
It's Thanksgiving, damn it.
Who wants to go see the 3-inch wonkers at the grog shop this weekend? Who's coming with me? 3-inch
I actually
wonker?
had to say, what?
What?
Yeah.
Pause.
How are you talking about?
You made that euphemism so obscure and Jewish that we didn't even know what was going on.
Is that Jewish?
I assume it
Wonker?
was.
I don't know.
I've never heard that
was
before.
Yiddish.
No, I have no. I just made it up.
All right, well.
She could get the last laugh if she has pictures.
Yeah.
And that's
Got
the
a
case.
Small, you know
she
what?
could say, so Tom has everything
Has everyone.
But
except
Have you guys
release the
If
pictures.
guys
she
ever-
release a picture, she could get sued.
Yeah.
That is a crime.
Have you guys ever
Yeah,
wondered
but you know
what
what? She'd
motivated
walk with
Tom
that.
Brady
Yeah,
so
she-
much?
I'm
That's
good
really
with
what
that.
it is.
What's the fine?
I can't put the mother of my children in jail for releasing pictures. I guess she can win that one though.
What do you
So-
think he was trying to overcompensate for all these years, people?
percentage
plastic
chance
surgery this
Tom
year.
Brady or Giselle ever changed a diaper on their children?
Oh, no.
Oh,
They've never
100%.
seen no.
Yeah,
They've
Giselle
never
has for
seen
sure.
the
I
kids
don't know.
fuck.
100%.
Yeah.
You think she changed a diaper?
Heck yeah.
Tom
think-
Brady hasn't been in
did
the
Tom ever
room when
change
it's
a diaper?
happened. Tom Brady hasn't been in the room when it's happened.
No, I
They
don't
have
think so.
a special diaper changing
Does
room.
Tom
Yep.
actually
The
know the
scent
name of his
can't
kids?
come out.
Not
Yeah.
their middle names. He doesn't know their
Not the
middle
middle
names.
Yes, he knows.
Yep.
Yes, he knows.
He was
By
spotted
all
in
accounts,
Brooklyn
he's
this
a great
weekend with
father.
them getting pizza.
What's that?
He cheated on his TB12 diet during the bye week. He went to Brooklyn and had a slice of pizza.
Oh,
with
then
his
we've
kids.
got a chance.
How you-
I mean, hell, if this guy put pizza in his body, we've got a chance.
Yeah,
do
he's
you-
losing
how
it.
do you
He's off the
know-
wagon.
That could have been vegan though.
No, because it was from a place that I know that does not do vegan pizza.
In
New York.
Brooklyn?
Well, maybe he was just picking
Let me
it up.
give
and he
you
was
some
gonna take it
advice.
home for his kids.
No, he was with his kids. There's photographers everywhere.
Where did he go?
Give me one
Sabaro.
sec.
Nice.
They just made a lot of money.
By the way, if you go to a pizzeria and
I
it
bet
has
it was
vegan
Tony's.
pizza, walk out immediately. I'm not
on.
eating any place that has vegan pizza.
What if they offer a nice alternative for people who are into that stuff?
Go to a vegan place.
Oh, wow. All
Take
right.
your vegan nonsense.
Very
to my
intolerant of
pizzeria.
you.
Best pizza place in New York?
My favorite place is DeFara's in Brooklyn. That's
I
to
haven't
me
been
the
there.
It was
best
Della
place.
Rocco's.
Yeah, I haven't
I don't
heard
know that
one.
place.
I
don't
can't
know
believe it's
either.
not a consensus between these two New Yorkers about the best pizza place.
He's not a New Yorker. He's a New Jerseyan.
Yeah, but you kicked around there, didn't you?
New York. I'll be there on Saturday.
Yeah, and I lived in New Jersey for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only people I know in New Jersey don't live in the parts y'all live at. It's a little different area.
Newark.
Yeah. Shout out to Arsenal. Shout out to Sue Surf, Free to Wave too, man. Shotgun Shook, you know what it is, man.
Those aren't real places.
Those are people.
Oh, people. Well,
Mike thought it was a place.
My mother-in-law
right.
grew up in New Jersey, in Newark.
Oh, all right.
Newark's rough, man.
Yeah, now it is.
Is it?
Yes.
I don't know.
Yeah, they say
Newark's tough.
Yeah, you don't
Whatever.
You don't show up there.
I didn't grow up in some little rinky-dink white boy town like Mikey.
You from
You have
Brooklyn,
no
right?
idea where I'm from.
You
Mo.
grew up in a McMansion area, Mikey?
I grew up on the north part of the shore.
Okay.
He grew up where Kyrie Irving grew up at, right?
J.R. Smith.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
from 15 minutes away from where J.R.
That's a
Smith.
big difference. Growing up where J.R. Smith did compared to where Kyrie
My high
did.
school was very diverse, man. We had a fucking mixed bag. Ooh,
Oh my God.
oh man.
Is that the
That's
first?
only the
I did
second
not
time that's
mean to
happened.
do that.
Joe Charbonneau did it once, I
you're
think.
right.
Oh,
did.
I love that you followed Joe Charbonneau. Put your name on the wall. You go put your name on the wall.
Keep it moving.
So much
Keep
for our
it moving.
Thanksgiving Day show here on Ultimate Cleveland Sports.
You know what I'm
Stick
thankful
around.
for?
You know what I'm thankful for?
Bull.
Yeah,
That's what I'm thankful for.
100%.
I am so.
What was the dong term you used too?
Wonger.
I like how you
Wonker?
did-
Oh, Wonger.
You
No, I
did-
think it was Wonker.
I thought you
went
said
to,
Wonker.
I like that you went to great lengths to try and hide the word penis. but then
you
used
drop the
word,
F-bomb.
Like you drop an F-bomb.
I can't believe I did that.
Don't want to insult it.
Stephen McNuggets is back there, just you know how you get that nervous laugh.
Oh my God.
Oh.
No, I'm laughing. This is good stuff.
Here's the thing. So these conversations are so real
Yeah.
that we have. I'm surprised that we don't
I know.
forget that these cameras are looking at
I
us a
know.
lot.
Get off the
In
air.
real life, we all use that
Oh
word
my God, all the
a
time.
lot.
Oh my
How about this? My son says to me yesterday, he goes, we're talking about I was telling him about a TV, I was talking about how The Walking Dead came to an end, and I said, he's like, when can I watch it? I said, probably when you're 13, I'll watch it all over with you.
Yeah.
And he goes, Dad, when I'm 13, I thought he was going to ask me about another show we could watch. He goes, will you teach me how to curse?
What? You mean like what are you gonna go behind the garage or something like that?
I don't know.
I like that he came
he's
to
gotta
you.
learn that in
I
the
like that he
streets,
came to
Paul.
you and not your wife.
I got to go to my wife.
Yeah.
That
He's
is
got to learn that in the streets.
That's
not
I know.
something your
That's
dad
what I
can
said
teach
to
you.
him. I said, you'll learn how to curse from your friends in school.
That's hilarious.
I thought he was gonna say by 13 I'll have a girlfriend. We'll be hanging out, and I thought it was
Nope.
like, well, hooking up. But like I don't know if that's the thing.
He just wants to learn some swear words.
And you got him on a 13-year-old pitch count for The Walking Dead,
Yeah. Well, you think it's too early?
dude. You guys are already friends now. Like
Yeah.
you guys are buddies. You hang out. What do you mean?
He think. Are you saying it doesn't matter that it's as violent as it is?
No.
It's not about the violence. I just think he'll be scared.
Oh, okay.
That's
you
why
know
I'm
your
waiting.
friend. Okay.
Yeah.
He knows what it is. Don't be trying to get in my room.
I don't worry about, violence on TV. I don't know. I don't worry about it too much as long as it's not like torture and stuff
You know
like
what's
that.
very strange is I had a thought on that. Have you ever seen the show Hannibal? Did you ever see that one?
Yes.
It was,
Oh,
yeah.
it was
Wow.
good, but very dark. And I was thinking about how on TV you can't see like a breast still, right? Like you still can't
is
on
ridiculous.
public TV
Absurd,
or anything,
yeah.
or butt or anything like that.
Yeah.
Or if you can, there's all kinds of fines or I don't know what it is, but I know that it's a big deal. But then on Hannibal, they actually had some murderer a serial killer had taken all the body parts of the people he was killing and made a totem pole out of all the body parts.
Like,
And
how
they show
absurd is that?
And they show it. There's an arm and a head and
You
stuff.
can see that, but
And
you can't see a breast.
I can see all of that pushed together with blood and stuff, but they're like, not that booby. Don't you let that kid see
However,
that booby.
where
It might
you
mess
can
him up.
see where you can see that, you can
Yeah.
also see nudity.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So
Yes.
you couldn't see that human parts totem pole on CBS
No,
either.
yes, you
Yes,
did.
you
It
could.
was on CBS.
It was?
Yes, it was on broadcast TV.
Oh, I
But
didn't
you
know
can't see
that
a
was a
boob. In fact,
broadcast
they had to
show.
make sure that the human totem pole didn't have any boobs on it.
That's
Or
the only reason
butts.
it got by the censors.
Yes,
Yeah.
it couldn't have gotten by. They're like,
That's
whoa, is that
insane.
a is that a
Because they don't
boob on
care
that?
about violence. They only care about
They
sex.
only care
it's
about
ridiculous.
sex.
It's
Remember the
ridiculous.
wardrobe
It's very
malfunction at the
anti-European.
Super
Yeah.
Bowl? This country lost its mind.
The Janet Jackson thing?
Yeah.
It was
Yes.
ridiculous.
They lost their mind.
I know.
And then they wonder why you get caught looking at people like public breastfeeding. You're just like, hold
Right.
on, did that just happen? Like,
Right.
this-
We're not exposed to it in the way the
I'm like,
Europeans
this
are.
is we're at
Right,
a
so it's no
game.
big deal
So
with
it's
them.
novel
Any
to
woman
us.
that wants to walk around with completely topless is fine by me. I got no problem with that.
I know you don't.
Snip that, and use it as a clip.
Emmy Award winning. McNuggets, where we going from here?
I got you. Let's reel it back in a little bit,
Why?
guys. I enjoyed all of that.
You want to
I
hear
enjoyed
about
all
the
that.
corpse
We got a
totem
DD coming
pole
up in a
anymore?
sec. No, we dropped an F-bomb.
I did not have that coming up on our show.
Was it in the rundown, corpse totem pole?
Never saw
Bull
that
said
coming.
Wonker, whatever he said.
Yeah, I didn't say
There will be no
wanker.
overtime today, just for the people out there. We're going to tape our Thanksgiving special, so there will be no overtime. There will be overtime tomorrow, though. And
should we do a Charlie Brown special? Like we'll dress up as Charlie Brown.
3 in a row.
Yeah. 3 in a
nice.
row. Jay
All week. Good sign.
Jay was on a perfect week.
Good sign for the Browns and the Buckeyes.
Yeah.
By the way, does everybody agree with me that Charlie Brown is horrible TV?
It had its place in history.
It's very old.
It's easy listen.
It doesn't hold up now.
I said this on the radio once, and people got so mad. Like, it's part of Americana. And I'm like, what the hell does that mean, Americana?
It's charm, nostalgia. They have a connection with their youth. It doesn't necessarily have to be creatively fulfilling.
Were you banging on Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, too? Like,
no, I don't have a problem with Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, but
there's something
I'm not talking about Charlie Brown Christmas specifically. I'm talking about Charlie Brown, period.
Right.
I never found it funny as a kid.
No, it wasn't
Is it supposed
funny.
to be funny?
It was supposed to be charming. There are shows that you watch growing up that stink that you think are good because you watched them growing up.
Everything I watched as a kid was awful.
But you thought it was. But do you still stand by it and think it's good TV or no?
What?
I don't know. Some TV show. Nothing. Everything you
The only thing I think was good TV that I watched, at all was maybe like Cheers.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
You never watched Chips?
I did, but I don't
Like
think it's good
Chips.
TV.
Chips. When you watch it now, it's a comedy.
Right. It wasn't good.
But it wasn't supposed to be funny.
Magnum PI.
Right. None of this TV
Now
was
they made
good.
all
Miami
network
Vice.
TV is garbage now.
Sure.
It's all garbage. When I watch the Browns games and you see the commercials for these TV shows,
Yeah, they're horrible.
I'm like, who is watching this crap?
Nobody.
It moved to.
It's so awful.
Good TV moved to cable and
Yeah,
stuff
all
like
of
that,
it.
and to streaming stuff.
The
Yeah.
problem is, so it did.
Streaming, that's where the
but
future is,
Netflix
obviously.
decided they were going to take huge quantities of money, hundreds of millions of dollars,
I
and
got to ask you a
develop
question
shows.
about Netflix.
Go ahead.
And you worked at ESPN, so you may have
Yeah.
a little insight on this. With Bob Iger coming back,
Yeah, that's big.
I was reading yesterday there might be a Netflix Disney merger coming.
There's been talk in the past.
Congress might have something to say about that.
Well, it's two major streaming platforms, obviously.
That sucks.
But look for ESPN. If they had a buyer for it, it would already be gone.
Yeah.
ESPN is now officially, and has been for a number of years, a drag on Disney stock.
Sure.
I was at the company 16 years. For 13 of those years, it was far and away, and not even close, the major cash cow of the corporation.
Now it's Disney Plus?
Now it's a drain on the company.
No, but is Disney Plus the
making
biggest?
the money?
Disney Plus is really hard for folks to figure out because the numbers come and go. So with ESPN, once they got to 100 million subs, they put their feet up on the ottoman, they put their hands behind their head, and they said, we've made it. Because they never felt that they would go below that.
Right.
Clearly, with cord cutting, they did. They went from 100 million down to 86 million, and that's a ton of money every month. What they're finding with Disney is the subs are coming and going at such a rapid rate that you can't bake that into the cake of your budget and just say,
interesting,
we're going to have that money forever.
Depends
and
on the Marvel show or the Star Wars stuff that's out.
Cord cutters like me, like, okay, I don't have traditional like cable. I have like direct TV streaming, but I'll jump on Disney Plus for like things like I'm a science fiction nerd, so I'm watching the Foundation stuff.
Right.
A lot of people do that. I just keep all my prescriptions.
So as soon as that's done, woo.
But now, everybody right now is worried about the downturn in the economy. And the first thing that goes in the downturn, and we may not feel it, but trust me, it's a real thing. Families are actually deciding between heat or meat. And so when you're making tough decisions like, can I put gas in my car? Can I feed my family this week? The first thing that goes is the entertainment, the discretionary.
Right, sure.
And so the streaming services are all terrified.
And this is happening not just in America, but worldwide.
Worldwide.
Does anybody watch SportsCenter anymore?
No.
I never watched SportsCenter.
The SportsCenter numbers for 6 or 7 years have been abysmal.
And
we don't need it. This is SportsCenter.
Yes.
You don't need it
anymore. You don't have to time it up anymore.
Plus, the problem is, I feel like, and maybe I do the same thing if I were on there too, and maybe this is just what they want. I guess you would know better than anybody, Jay. It feels like every anchor on there is trying to be funny, and some people are not funny.
Very few of them are. Scott
you can't be Stuart Scott. Not everybody can be Scott Van Pelt and Stuart Scott.
No, and the other thing too is the delivery method is so different now. Like when I was young, SportsCenter Sunday night was mandatory viewing. It was mandatory viewing, and it was never any better when it was Dan Patrick.
It was on in every dorm room. You could hear it coming out of every dorm room.
It was the soundtrack of college dorm.
But it was the name. But they try to make it where everybody they put on there was somehow good. You're like, no. Where are the staples? Like Steiners and Stuart Scotts and all of the there's so many, like that first wave, that generation where they had Keith Olbermann, Dan Patrick, even the JV ones. Who used to say that in Fuego?
I thought Rich Eisen was always great.
Who used to say in Fuego? Who used to say that?
Scott Van Pelt, I think. Or was that
It's not SVP.
No, it was another guy that looked like McNuggets a little bit.
You sure it wasn't Stuart Scott?
No,
it was Stuart Scott.
I think it was. I thought in Fuego was Stuart Scott.
But even the
viewers in the chat, tell us who used to say in Fuego
Dan
on
Patrick.
ESPN.
Dan Patrick.
Thank you.
Dan Patrick.
Yeah,
that's right.
Okay.
It was Dan Patrick.
So them dudes.
Dan Patrick wasn't the JV though. Dan
And I
Patrick.
used to watch the Sunday night, what do you call it, the show with Berman, even though I wasn't a big Berman guy.
It used to be the really big show.
I used to watch Primetime all the time, and now I never watch any of that stuff.
So about 2013, I remember we had this sort of like code red meeting at ESPN where everybody said, guys, the universe has completely changed. Within 5 years, we will be irrelevant. Our studio shows will be irrelevant. What they decided was the only thing that you can't get from this is vigorous debate from really animated personalities.
Yeah, we want to hear our own voices yelling at you.
Yeah, so what happened was they just made the shift from news and information to entertainment and debate. And some of those shows are still good and relevant and everything else. But for the most part, SportsCenter will never be what it was. No. ESPN will never be what it was. And Bob Iger, I'm sure, so the stock went from like 91 to 98. It went up like 7 or 8% immediately upon the news that Bob Iger was coming back. I've met Bob. Bob's a practical, very smart. And you just get the sense that if you're going through a hurricane, but you're in a canoe, but Bob's at the helm, you're going to make it. He just exudes confidence.
Yeah.
This last guy was horrible. Mm-hmm. Every decision he made was controversial. He was wildly political. And Bob can be political. Bob can be political, but I think he knows what gears to use for that, where this last guy did not. It was so unceremoniously. It was basically a Sunday night get out. Bob's back. That was it. Yeah. You know, take your discount tickets to Epcot and go. And that was it.
There are two things.
But Bob will sell ESPN if he can find a buyer.
Two things that ESPN could do that would change the way I viewed it. One, bring back regular programming that is not regular programming, but things like Playmakers. Give me original content.
Yeah. But there's so much content now.
But here's the thing though.
Yeah.
They'd be late to the party. Yes, they would need some traction on that.
Well, and obviously, not actually late. They were early to this game.
Right. With the Playmakers.
I've told you the story about why they got out of that business, correct?
Yes.
And which was a shame. But the NFL strong-armed them into dropping Playmakers.
Two, I love the fact that they could capitalize. I like one thing. Game shows never go old, right? I used to love Stump the Schwab. I liked when they used to do the anchors. They would come on there and have them
Dream Job.
Right.
And then you have 30 for 30. Like no one can.
30 for 30 stuff is still good.
The most relevant stuff they do.
No one can compete with them. They need to put that on steroids and give me little smaller stories from around.
Yeah.
And then I'd watch.
Most of the debate shows I find boring because they're all talking about the same things.
Yeah, all the topics. There's 6 or 7 good topics every single day. We know that.
Right. Yeah.
And they're just chewed over by different voices all throughout the day.
Right.
It is, aside from the studio show, so there's two arms. There's studio and then there's live and remote production.
Yeah.
They can't monetize live production anymore because the NFL and the NBA contracts are losers. They lose money on those deals, which is stunning, but they
Especially
do.
the NBA.
But they were in a spot on this last NFL deal where they said, we can't afford to not be in the NFL business.
Right.
But the flip side of that was they can't afford to be in the NFL business.
They're screwed. Yeah, and they get the worst games because Monday night, I guess
they have
Thursday.
Notoriously been given awful content.
Yeah.
Because from jump, this goes not just to Goodell, this goes back to Tagliabue.
Yeah.
When there was a war going on between the president of ESPN and the president, the CEO of the NFL, they basically decided that we're going to make Sunday night the marquee game, and we're going to, and which I don't know why you'd want to put the screws to one of your business partners, but they did.
Yeah.
For a long time, they just got Cardinals at Chargers.
Yeah, right.
And when was the last time you see the Giants Cowboys on a Monday night game.
Never.
But they're always Sunday night. The Giants and the
yeah.
Cowboys live on Sunday night football.
Well, they're playing
Especially the
Thanksgiving
Cowboys.
this year.
Well, it's prime time.
Yeah.
Any prime time window they can put them in, they put them in. And ESPN has been given scraps.
Yeah.
So they're losing money on their billion-dollar-a-year deal with the NFL. And when you take a look at what they get on playoff inventory, they get the AFC wild card game.
They get the worst playoff game on the docket.
Well, the AFC is looked at as the inferior conference because all the big markets and the notable teams in those dual markets are NFC.
Although the AFC's been better as a
better football, but in terms of numbers, you've got the Cowboys, you've got the Giants, you've got the Eagles, you've got the Redskins, all top 5 markets. Chicago. And when you look at the AFC markets, you've got Cincinnati, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Baltimore. Nobody wants that crap. Everybody wants the NFC.
Jacksonville,
so the
Indianapolis.
one playoff game they get.
49ers is a big market.
Nashville. The one playoff
they have
game
the
they get is the AFC wild card game. Nobody watches that. Nobody wants to see that.
They have the Jets in the AFC, but the Jets are
the inferior team in New York.
I do think when we're crapping on ESPN, it goes back to this Peanuts thing, though, a little bit.
Yes.
Because we are all thinking nostalgically about the ESPN that we remember from our youth that we loved so much and grew up on.
It was
such a big part of our lives.
For me also,
Now, listen, but we look back at it nostalgically, but just as with that, tastes change. The way that we consume things change.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily that ESPN became this terrible product or anything
technology
like that.
did them in.
It's the technology did them in, and our tastes changed, and we wanted things more immediately, and they succumbed to that in the way that so many other businesses and companies have in the past.
Absolutely.
Fair.
And so remember the old days when you literally, now, you're not old enough, I don't think. You guys might remember this. There was a time in my lifetime when if I wanted to know how the Indians did, I'd have to stay up and watch the 11 o'clock local news.
Yeah. Of course I'm older.
Because there was no phone, there was no pager.
It was worse for me because I was a Cubs fan in New York.
You had to wait for the scores.
I had to call sports phone. Do you remember sports phone?
I used to do that all the time.
Listen, I had the quickest method. I had the quickest method. My dad would come home from the bar and tell me what the score was. That was the quickest way of finding out.
So he knew.
Yeah, he knew.
Or you watched the Sports Machine.
George Michael Sports Machine was nationally televised. That was awesome.
That was the first time I would get to see Cubs and Bengals highlights ever.
He was knocked into irrelevancy.
Yes.
Because
I forgot about
the Sports Centers on Sunday night.
Yes.
So George Michael, first of all, they started at 11. He started at 11:30. Yeah. So they put him out of business. Yeah. It's funny how the technology has put things out of business. It used to be all newspapers. Then TV news put a crimp on newspapers. Then cable put a crimp on local TV news.
Right.
Yep. And now streaming has put cable.
And now we're putting local TV out of business.
Yeah. Except for Channel 3.
Mike, let's not hope out of business.
Oh, yeah, not them.
Hey, guys, while we wait for Aditi, who said she's powering up, you guys mentioned Stump the Schwab. You want to do a little trivia real quick?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
This is,
by the way, anytime we want to get Schwab on the show.
Yes.
By the way,
we should absolutely
done deal.
Mike, last thing really quick, 5 seconds. You talked about college basketball yesterday not being as popular. ESPN to me as a kid was about college basketball.
It was it.
Not as a kid, but when I was a little older, I'm watching Big Monday and all that, and now I don't watch college basketball, so that's
I don't either.
Calvin Chaney.
All right, so this has a tiny bit of a Cleveland tie, but we might as well throw it out there. 5 players in NBA history have won the Finals MVP and did not go to college. Can you name those 5?
LeBron
is one of them. Yes.
Kobe.
That's 2.
Moses Malone.
3.
Wow,
give me it again. Say the question one more time.
5 players in NBA history have won the NBA Finals MVP who did not go to college.
Giannis
did not. Oh, that's 6 now, actually.
Yeah.
So there's 6. Giannis is on that. That is 6. So there's 6 players now.
Okay, so 4. We're missing 2.
We were missing 2.
I don't know if Kevin Garnett was MVP.
He did not win Finals. Paul Pierce won Finals MVP.
Who else didn't go to college?
Did not go to college.
So we got Kobe, Moses, LeBron, and Giannis.
Dirk Nowitzki.
That's correct.
That's
right.
Good one.
That's a good one.
Mm-hmm. One more.
Would it be a foreign?
It could be
another foreign.
Yeah.
Tony Parker.
There you go.
Wow.
Taking dinner.
Well done.
Nice.
That's good.
Hey, we kind of.
We didn't even need to get through that whole track record.
Yeah, as a panel, we got it figured out.
As a panel, y'all did. Y'all can come up and bring some questions, and we'll get y'all right. Like,
unless it's Browns Buccaneers related, because I guarantee you're not going to know some of these coming up. But that was actually really impressive. I'm very impressed.
We're so happy that, did you hear that? We impressed the child.
We talked our way.
That's important to us. I'm glad.
By the way, Steve says shout out to CNN Sports. Remember them? Nick Charles, Fred Hickman.
Yeah.
They were.
Hey, that sports machine dude. Who was sponsoring him?
George Michael Sports Machine, brought to you by.
Who was?
Unfortunate.
Was that an affiliate or?
It was so it was WRC in Washington D.C. It was the NBC affiliate, but they. It was syndicated on all NBCs across the country.
Give me a year.
So
What years do you think that was?
I would say it would have been early 80s. Maybe 1981 to 1990.
Wow. So really, there were two George Michaels who were very popular running around at the same time. Very confusing.
Oh, you didn't know George Michael?
No, I did. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because they
used to hit that big giant button.
Yeah, he had the tag.
graphics.
Yeah.
He'd be on there. I'm like, man, I thought him and Michael Redguy was the same person for a while.
I'm still not convinced.
Shout out to Michael Redguy, by the way, man.
Yeah.
One of the OGs.
The Reg.
Man, I listen.
One of the OGs.
The Reg.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we did it.
Is Aditi linked in yet?
She says the VMix link isn't loading, so I need you guys to fill for another 2 minutes.
Oh,
I know it's tough for you guys to fill.
Stretch.
Yeah.
Keep filling for one
look,
sec.
it's the only time we be quiet. It's just like, guys, are you gonna stop talking? But Soul Train used to come on.
I love that we're on Soul Train Talk.
Yeah.
While we're pushing
Before
subscribers.
Soul Train, let's become a member, everybody. Really, let's focus on the coaches tier, because the coaches tier is where you get the extra content, plus the emojis, plus member shout-outs, discount codes for merchandise, and more. We will not have overtime content today, but almost every day that we do a show, we will have overtime content. The only reason we're not doing overtime today is because we're pre-taping.
Gets to be a pretty spicy meatball, too.
Hey, shout out to the people out there on the 2-minute warning. Me and Mr. McNuggets, Mikey McNuggets, broke the record for super chats in one setting, in one time.
Very impressive.
Broke the record for super chats.
More
Shout
info.
out to
Tell
you
me
guys.
about it. Tell me about it.
Man,
what
listen,
happened?
they was hot and heavy, man. Listen, I think we had 100. Did we have a $100 one?
We had a $50 one.
A $50 one. We had a $50 one. I think we got up over about, I want to say $300 easy.
We watched that. It was entertaining.
Yeah.
We watched the thing after the game. I wanted to watch you guys melt down, and it was sad not to see you there.
I know. Thank
I really
you.
wanted
I'll be back this week.
I wanted to watch you get turned inside out emotionally one more
Jeff's
time.
computer
Howie Schwab
melted.
says anytime we want him.
That's good.
So maybe for a
Tomorrow. No, I'm
slow
playing.
day or something.
Yeah, sometime in a week or two, we'll get him on for sure. We got Joe Thomas confirmed next Thursday.
We should do a whole trivia thing with him.
He's
in
got
the
great
off-season.
story. You'd love him.
Yeah.
He's from New York, obviously.
Right, yeah.
He has your sensibilities, but maybe not as angry. But he's very opinionated on his sports talk.
Yeah.
But he was one of my favorites.
As long as we're giving shout-outs to CNN, I also want to give a shout-out to CNN Plus streaming. Didn't work out.
God rest their soul.
R.I.P.
How long was that on for? Like 7 days?
Honestly, an afternoon, something like
It's
that.
like a week.
Whoa. What
Yeah.
do you mean?
CNN Plus, they had a streaming platform.
And then what happened?
It lasted about a week and they canceled it. I think they only had 10,000 subs.
Yeah,
But I don't understand, like, what kind of commitment is that if you're only going to
They had a new executive
I know it was
come
bad,
in.
but, like, the last 4 weeks is
the new
stupid.
executive that came in is the same guy that's blowing out
And it wasn't
all of
his
their
idea. So
liberal
he's just like,
commentators.
this is crap, So
Well, in truth, though, there was talk. This was even before he was. They almost pulled the plug on it before it went.
Yeah.
Because they had. That's a classic case of not knowing the market before you enter it. There's a really well-written piece. It was either the Wall Street Journal or I think it was the Wall Street Journal. They talked about the mistakes that they made, the missteps they made along the way. And they had internal information that said this was going to be a pig. And they just sometimes it's just like
good money
when a
after
coach
bad.
hires or the draft pick takes an Anthony Schwartz and you're just like, well, gosh, he's fast.
Yeah.
So you just can't. They kept looking at what they did was they looked at the counterpart, which is I don't know what Fox calls their streaming platform. It's
right-wing propaganda?
That might be it. It's I don't know what it is, but it's wildly successful. Millions of subs. So they thought they could do the same thing.
But I was talking to Lyman about this. So right-wing commentary in shows today on television was spawned by conservative talk radio.
Absolutely.
So conservative talk radio paved the way for everything after that. If you ask yourself, what is liberal talk radio? There's no such thing as liberal talk radio.
There is, but
it's so.
They took a swing at it.
Well, some people say it's NPR.
Yeah.
The difference is.
There are those that say that's your
difference
liberal
is in TV. Now there's all these wackadoodle Newsmax and all these things, but.
Those are my favorite.
For a long time,
I don't even know where those are. Like,
I don't
how
know
do people
either.
see those?
But for a long time, if you were conservative, the only TV network you had was Fox.
That's it.
Whereas if you're liberal, you could have done CNN, MSNBC, NPR, PBS. You know, there were options. So obviously, Fox is going to get better ratings because the liberals are more spread out.
They're dividing the crowd.
Yes.
They're dividing the crowd. Now, now it also depends on who's in power, by the way. When Trump was in power, CNN's ratings were the best they'd ever been.
Yeah.
Ever.
Oh, yeah.
Ever.
Oh, no. They would just run even to a point where I agree with them. Like, it used to be when people say it's Trump derangement.
Right.
No, it's called, those are ratings derangement. Every time you put him on the screen,
and when President Obama was in power, Fox News ratings were sky high.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And right now, you can add, and this is what's interesting, there's apathy. And typically, that's why the lack of a red wave was so surprising this year, because typically there's apathy among voters and cable news viewers when your party is in power.
Yes, there is.
You're not as concerned. We got our guys in there. There's nothing to see. But when you're not in power, like when the Republicans had the House, the Senate, and the White House from 16 to 18, their ratings, if you look at their ratings on a growth chart, their ratings have never even approached what they were from 16 to 18. They started to gradually go down a little bit 19 and 20, but now they're in the tank. They're in the tank because there's apathy amongst Democratic viewers and voters.
But 22 was actually the best for an incumbent president
ever.
You know, is it ever?
Yeah. Well, in terms of lost seats, it's really hard to measure it. So if you read the scorecard is the Democrats gained 1 seat.
That's it.
In the Senate.
That's it. And anywhere.
Right.
Anywhere. They gained 1
But
seat.
everybody thought it was going to go the opposite.
Guys,
Everyone thought it was going to be.
We've almost got all the world's problems solved. Mike.
Yes.
World Hunger's next.
Aditi, we were just talking about the lack of a red wave. What's your stance on abortion?
She wears a red sweatshirt.
I'm just kidding.
Look, her eyes are just a little.
I'm pulling us out of this conversation, Aditi. Oh yeah, you have blue as well. Thank you for representing.
And because G has decreed it, I am once again wearing blue jeans.
Hey, the jeans is, listen, she's ready to go. She's been working all week.
I am once again uncomfortable, G, but I am going to follow the G getting back in shape method, which is wear the jeans every day and realize how uncomfortable they are.
Just don't do that on Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Always sweatpants on Thanksgiving.
No, there's definitely elastic skirts or something like that on Thanksgiving.
I must ask you, Thanksgiving is coming up, and do you have any traditional Indian dishes that you plan on bringing to your table?
Unfortunately, I am invited to... God, that's terrible.
Don't say the name now.
To Adam the Bull's house.
Thinking that I'm going to avoid this political conversation because we shouldn't be talking politics or religion, and you got me into a conversation about the in-laws, which is really just promoting the topic.
So unfortunately, you were invited to the in-laws, is what you were going to say.
Correct.
They don't watch, Aditi.
They're Steeler fans.
You're right.
They're not watching.
Yeah, they're not watching.
This is so.
I'm sure they're lovely people.
But you know what? I do make an effort, Mikey. To be fair, I do make an effort to bring something that incorporates a Western traditional vegetable, and perhaps give it a little bit of a twist, which is funny because yesterday, Lacey DaCosta, the Ravens general manager, Eric DaCosta's wife, who is absolutely phenomenal in so many ways, was sort of brainstorming on Twitter for side dish ideas. And I sent her one of my go-tos for a few years, which is curried butternut squash and chickpeas. And it's not a curry sauce, but it's roasted butternut squash, roasted chickpeas with kind of a little curry seasoning, and then a cilantro yogurt sauce. And it's actually really, really good. It's butternut squash,
Aditi,
but it got a little bit of kick to it, and that went over well.
This has nothing to do with the curry. You couldn't pay me, and there's not a single thing in there you mentioned that I would want to eat.
You don't like
I would
butternut
eat it all.
squash?
Don't worry. If you bring it in, I would eat it.
You're eating curried butternut squash?
It sounds delicious. Yes,
it is
absolutely.
good. It is good.
Like chickpeas.
How is the dish?
Listen,
All right, so
I didn't get to 350 pounds eating butternut squash.
To my mother-in-law's house last year, I brought a lentil and sweet potato salad. It had a little bit of cilantro, a little bit of parsley, some red onion, lentils, sweet potatoes. Lentils, and you have to cook the lentils so they're not smushy. They have to have just like a little bit of...
a little snap to them.
Not quite crunch, but a little... Look at him making faces.
I
My
mean,
goodness, Adam.
I'm sure it's all delicious,
Like a
and I'm
petulant
sure
child.
most normal humans would like it. But I don't like any of that stuff.
Well, that's because you eat ice cream that's like this large. You do remember when Adam took me out for ice cream, right? And
That's
it was
right.
like the most mega-sized ice cream I'd ever seen in my life.
Aditi,
right. I
as
don't mess around.
part of our Thanksgiving Day show, and I'm sad that you won't be here. You'll be at your in-laws, unfortunately.
That's no, actually, Steve uninvited me. Steve told me that I was not part of the Thanksgiving Day show.
Ooh. Well, not by our choice. We would love to have you, but we heard that you have to go to the in-laws. We're gonna all go around the table and we're gonna give something. We're gonna mention something that we're thankful for, and I think we'd be remiss if we didn't give our viewers the opportunity to hear from you, because you're family, and if Cleveland loves you, we love you. So I would like to give you the opportunity to tell our audience and all of us something that on Thanksgiving in 2022 that you're thankful for.
I'm thankful for the friendship and faith that Adam showed in me to bring me into the Tegna family, the ultimate Cleveland sports show family.
Don't you cry.
I am thankful to Jay for immediately welcoming me into that family and boosting me up. I am thankful to Mike for always keeping me on my toes. And I am thankful to G for pushing me to fit into these jeans.
That's the best
I don't know if I will.
That's the all important one.
All important.
Forcing. You know, everybody needs a little tough love in their life, and G is offering it.
That motivation. Christmas come around, she gonna be ready to go. She gonna be walking around in the mall like, yeah, I wasn't wearing these last month, but I am now.
I'll chop liver.
Okay, that's if I survive the next month. Do you guys know that I'm going down to Houston when Deshaun Watson makes his debut? So, like I said,
Great.
Oh,
We didn't know that.
I
We
moved
didn't know
down the
that.
sideline. CBS assigned me to that game before they even assigned the analyst and the play-by-play guy. I was told, no
I
matter
love it.
who is calling that game, you will be on the sideline.
That is so. See, this is proof, though, that the NFL loves narratives and plots. Because she was the one who got the original, comment from him on this.
She did.
And they've got like a big chart up in the NFL office. They're like, all right, how do we bring this plot together? Like, we bring back that character from earlier in the year. They get to meet again.
It's the Saturday clause at work.
They love it. They're writing movies. Yep.
Aditi, the question is, though, are you going to say hi to Jason Lloyd in Houston? Or are you going to big time him again?
Oh, wow.
Wait a minute, Jason's coming? First of all,
there.
I never big time Jason Lloyd. Okay, I mean, I did make Jason Lloyd to come and look at the puppies with my son at training camp. It is Jason Lloyd who big time is me, because he is such a big timer. Let's be really honest here. I mean,
Aditi,
we know that.
I had such high hopes at the beginning of the year that it would be Nance and Romo on that call. Now I'm thinking there's probably slim to no chance at all that that's the case.
Now it's going to be Andrew Catalon.
Nothing wrong with Andrew.
No offense to Andrew Catalon. I mean, he did have the great...
Hey, just so you know, Andrew Catalon is the next Jim Nance. Andrew Catalon is number 2 on golf. Andrew Catalon is just growing in opportunity, and Andrew Catalon is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful human being who takes his job incredibly seriously and pulls no punches. I do think, just inside baseball here a little bit, Adam, I do think it's really sort of important who calls that game, because you cannot gloss over in many ways. Let's start with this. Sorry.
Yeah.
in many ways, it's a football game. And people want to watch a football game, and they want to know what happens on first down, and they want to know what the trends are on third down, and they want to know why the Browns keep coming out hot and then collapsing in the fourth quarter. And they want to know if the Texans are going to start Davis Mills or somebody else, and if Lovie Smith is back or not. Of course, people want to know what is happening in the game, but you cannot ignore all the rest of it. You cannot gloss over the fact that Deshaun Watson did start his career in Houston and engineered a way out of Houston and everything that has followed since.
Right.
So you need someone who can somehow balance all of that without turning it into something that it's not, which is a football game at the end of the day. So
right. And the
I don't
crowd's
think
going to
it's
be
an easy
going
assignment
nuts.
by any means.
The crowd's going to be going.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. No. The crowd's going to be going nuts. They're going to be booing. It's going to be. I mean, it's going to be crazy. So even if you wanted to ignore it, you really can't because the crowd reaction is going to be very unique.
And exactly. And how do you not, right, Jay? Think
Right.
about when you've called games and what you do. How do you ignore what the environment is?
Right.
If the environment is pouring rain, if the environment is 17 degrees and icicles on players' hands, if the environment is in constant onslaught of commentary, if you can't ignore it because it's part of the environment that the game is played in.
And
But-
you know another thing, Aditi, that is in play here. It's very much in play. It's possible that even if the Texans win, it's possible that they walk away with this thing with the first and second picks in the draft. It's possible.
That's crazy.
No, bullets.
It is possible.
Right
It
now,
is
there's
possible.
one team in the NFL that has fewer wins than the Browns.
Browns are going to
And
go
that's
4-3
the
in the
Texans.
final 7 games.
That's it. So
it's funny. I have the Texans this week actually, and I'm on the sideline for the Texans at Dolphins game this weekend. And as Mikey knows, I just had an appointment. So as I was racing home, I'm obviously not reading my emails as I'm racing home, but my understanding is that Lovie Smith is leaving ajar the idea that somebody else is starting at quarterback. I think that there are sort of a lot of questions here. I know in advance of this game, we're going to talk to Nick Caserio because there is sort of a young nucleus. There is a very big question at quarterback. Again, I mean, there are people in the state of Texas that care about the Texans and care about what they're doing. And it is a little bit, there's a lot of implications here. And when you think about draft picks and trades, I'll give you the flip side of that. Just yesterday, we were talking about what the Dolphins made away with in the Laramie Tunsil trade. And I could give it to you if you give me half a second.
Oh, yeah. Bradley.
Steve
Isn't it
Becker
Tyreek?
is messaging me.
Isn't it Tyreek Hill, Bradley Chubb, and a third player?
It is a very, no.
Oh.
So... it's a lot. Okay, of the Laramie Tunsil trade, tackle Julian Davenport, defensive back Johnson Batamosi, cornerback Noah Igbehini, which I need to learn how to say,
From Auburn.
wide receiver Jalen Waddle, safety Javon Holland, wide receiver Tyreek Hill, linebacker Channing Tindall, wide receiver Eric Uzukanama, and linebacker Bradley Chubb.
that's insane.
Yeah, well, but
Those are all players that were acquired either directly or indirectly
From picks
because
that
of
they-
the Laramie Tunsil.
That's
Yeah.
incredible.
So to that
That's
point,
incredible.
All of these, like this makes me think back to when I was a Giants beat writer, and we talked about how the Giants trade for Eli Manning directly and indirectly led to what players. This is something that will live for a long, long time for sure. And I think it's a very valid point, no matter what that draft pick is, whether it is 1 and 2 or
Has
1
anyone
and
ever
6
had
or
the 1 and the
5,
2?
whatever.
Has that ever happened where a team has had the 1 and the 2?
not that I recall.
Talk about Jay putting me on the spot.
I don't
Do we
remember.
have- do we have research
My-
that does
no.
that?
The Browns had 1 and 4.
I know the Browns had 1 and 4, but I don't think it's ever happened.
Right.
Where
Yes,
I doubt
yes, it has. Yes,
Oh,
it has.
What year?
The 1992 Colts are the only team among the 4 American
Who'd they
professional
take?
leagues to ever have the first 2 picks in the
Who'd
same
they
draft.
take? You have it?
Is it Jeff George?
I mean, the Browns got a bunch of draft picks in the Carson Wentz deal, and that was they didn't get anybody out of that trade.
I'm pulling up the NFL draft. Hold on, Wikipedia.
Can we put Carson Wentz?
Yes, they
getting
took. You
dropped on
guys
the
ready
flag?
for this?
Okay, go ahead.
Steve
I'm sorry, Whedon.
Emptman
He sucked.
Oh, God, he was a bust.
And Quinton Corriott.
Wow.
They both were busts.
They made the most of that.
And the next 2 picks, you guys ready for the next 2 picks? How about Sean Gilbert and Desmond Howard? And how about a couple picks later? 7 and 8, Troy Vincent, Bob Whitfield. There was 11 Pro Bowlers in the first round.
See, we're not the only ones who screw things up all the time.
No, thank God.
We just live in it. We do it a lot, but we just live in it, so we feel it more. But Indy's talking about those moves in the same way that we're talking about our terrible mistakes.
I mean, Baker Mayfield and
I don't know.
Yeah, Aditi before.
Thanks,
Although
Indy.
that was funny that you just mentioned Carson Wentz, because it kind of makes me think of, like, if we were going to do a 6 degrees of separation in the National Football League, who would be our guy? It would have to be Carson Wentz, right? Like, everybody is connected to him within 6 steps.
I think so.
Yeah.
He is the Kevin Bacon of the NFL. Right?
He is.
Last thing, I was a year early with my prediction, but it looks like I'm finally going to be right. The Steelers are going to finish under 500. Will you admit that now?
What is there to admit? I mean, I have no skin in this game. I don't. No, I mean, I don't think that things look good, and I will tell you again, it's the same thing that I say about the Browns when we talked about this. What was more disappointing? I said it was the defense. Well, I feel the same way about the Steelers. This is a $110 million defense, and I get that TJ Watt was gone for a long time. Everybody's talking about the offense and how predictable it was on Sunday against the Bengals. How about the defense giving up 37 points?
Yeah.
And this is their week 1 starting defense, giving up 37 points to the Bengals, who, P.S., didn't have Jamar Chase and who lost Joe Mixon in the middle of the game as well.
Very true.
So,
That's right. And by the way,
I don't think things are
and I'll give Watt credit. I always thought Watt was a little overrated. I was definitely wrong about that. I mean, that interception he made was one of the most ridiculous plays I've ever seen in my life. He is great. But their defense as a whole, I thought was overrated, and I think I am right about that. I don't really think they're good in the back 7. I don't think they're that good in the back 7.
You know what? They have no back end. They thought that having Miles Jack and Devin Bush, like, really on call kind of would improve the interior of that linebacking core. They still obviously don't have depth at linebacker. But let's go back to TJ for just a second, because when I am tough on Myles Garrett, part of it is the consistency. I want to see it week in, week out. The same way that we see it with TJ Watt. Every single week, you be the best player on the field. But number 2, TJ, by virtue of who he is, elevates the play of everybody on the field around him. When you've got a guy, and it's not just the football piece of it. It's not just that Cam Hayward doesn't have to face a triple team on every play. It's not just that Alex Highsmith isn't getting chipped on every play. It's that TJ brings this level of intensity that basically says anybody below that, get off the field. And players feel obligated to match that. Players feel obligated to give their best for the guy who's playing next to them. Can we say that Myles makes everybody around him better?
No.
But TJ leads by example. You're absolutely right, and he does. He raises the bar for everybody.
No doubt, he's great.
Nothing less than your best.
And he's not
acceptable.
easy on his teammates. Look, he's
Shouldn't
not.
He shouldn't be.
And it's interesting because this from player. I mean, this is just a few weeks ago. Travis Etienne is telling me that he thinks that Trevor Lawrence needs more nasty in him. TJ's got some nasty in him. TJ, early in his career, wouldn't be afraid to go after players that he didn't think he was getting enough out of. You know, we knew that of Tom Brady. That was kind of part of the story with Brian Hoyer when he was in Cleveland, that Brian Hoyer would talk to people like Brady would, and Brian Hoyer hadn't earned that just yet up until that point. So there are players that do lead that way. There are players that simply lead by virtue of their example. But part of the greatest players is that they lead in some way, and they inherently make everybody around them better.
Absolutely
She
right.
makes everyone around us better.
Love you.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. We'll
Bye,
see you
guys.
next
Happy
week.
Thanksgiving to you
Bye,
all.
Aditi.
See you
The
next
great
week.
Aditi
Happy
Kinkawala.
Thanksgiving.
She does make us all better.
She does. She elevates
does.
our game. She gives us credibility.
Yep.
She makes us believable.
Jenn Matthews with us now as well.
Oh, speaking of people who give us credibility.
There she is.
It's
Jenn Matthews. It's trivia time.
Woo! Nice. Can I just tell you, that is an elegant painting, and I know that it's there for me to mention it, but I have to mention it. That is just a beautiful horse.
Well, when I was first sitting, it looked like it was coming out of my head, so I had to.
Got to get the right angle.
Did you paint that?
I was like, this doesn't look right. No, I'm up in the mountains in Colorado. My brother bought a lovely home, so I'm, just on the road.
Nice.
That's cool. I went camping
So when is
last
the party?
weekend.
When are we invited, though? That's the question.
You know what? This guest house sleeps like 15 alone, and I'm currently just holding it down. So I think whatever you guys want to come.
We'll be there on Friday.
Yeah, right.
You always tell a house is big by the echo. She in like the West Wing.
Yep.
The East
She's
Wing
in the
is
guest
down.
house. She's in the guest house. That has
The West
15
Wing
rooms.
of the guest house.
Right, yeah.
I can hear the butler's shoes.
So, Jen, I don't know how many times the Bucs and Browns have played each other. Maybe 6 or 7? Like, there's not a lot of history there, but I'm sure you came up with some great questions.
I know. Well, this week was harder because there isn't much of a history. But we're gonna
there really
do
isn't.
our best, and I believe in you. Remember, I'm the eternal optimist. Every week, I'm like, the Browns are going to win. You guys are going to crush the questions. And then you know how it goes. But
I know. We haven't done so well. We appreciate your enthusiasm. Thank you for keeping us.
I'm predicting 3 out of 5 today.
3 out of 5?
I think you guys go over 500. Jen, you ready to get them started?
I'm ready. Let's do this.
Let's rock.
Where's our trivia music? Do we have any?
We have trivia music. Steve will pull it up, and while he's
Puts
doing
us in
that,
the mood.
It does.
let's get the first question.
It's our thinking music. It's like Jeopardy music.
All right, here we go.
We don't half-effort anything around here.
Not
okay. Question number 1. The last time the Browns played the Bucs, they won, you guys, 26-23 in OT. Who kicked the game-winning field goal for the Browns that day?
Oh, my goodness.
Bill Dawson?
No.
More recent than that?
I think more recent.
It probably is. Yeah, I think Phil Dawson's too easy.
So let's go through
Austin
our kickers.
Seibert?
So we had Seibert, we had Gonzalez.
Zane Gonzalez.
I like any Browns kicker question because there's literally 74 names to pull from.
What about the guy who's on Minnesota now? Is that also? No.
Joseph?
Greg
Yeah,
Joseph.
Greg Joseph. That might be it.
Hey, I have no clue. It could be any one of those. I'm just guessing it's not Dawson because it would. I would assume it's later.
I'm trying to think of the year.
I mean, they probably only play the Bucs once every 4 years. Yeah.
Is it safer, rather than picking one
10
of
seconds.
the 72 other kickers, is it safer just to say Dawson since he was the kicker for 115 years here?
I would go with I agree with that.
5 seconds.
Okay.
Phil Dawson.
Law of
Phil
average,
Dawson.
Phil Dawson.
Bill Dawson. All right. Let's bring up the graphics.
That's not right. I can tell by her
answer.
reaction. She's
I
not
don't
proud
think
of
it
us
is either.
Chandler.
We wouldn't have got that in 30 guesses.
Hey, I feel good about
Y'all
that
named
one.
10 kickers, and he's the one you did.
When was that? What year was
that?
2018.
That sounds like a fake
That
ID
guy
name.
Chandler
for us in
Cannizzaro in
2018?
2018?
Only 4 years ago.
My goodness.
What did he play, like one game for the Browns? I don't even remember him
That sounds
playing.
like a false identity.
You know
You know,
what?
it's
I'm
been
over
late in the season, and I had stopped caring by that point.
Yeah, that's
Man.
weird. That's
Man,
strange.
no Castazo fans around here, I guess.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's try it.
I gotta
Let's-
look up
we can
Chandler
only improve from
Cannizzaro.
here.
next time.
Okay.
That's okay. We're 0 for 1, but we're just warming up. So we got to throw in a little bit of. Okay.
Oh, Leroy Selman.
Okay.
Would you let her
Who
get
did the
through
Bucs
it?
draft with their first overall pick in 1976? You guys, this was before I was born. Okay?
Yeah, it was Leroy Selman.
Okay.
You say this with a lot of confidence.
Well,
All
here-
right. Is there
Jay
anything
said
It
else?
was
that.
the first over. That was when they started in the league.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. I agree. It's Leroy Selman.
Yeah.
I like this confidence. There's no doubt. Okay, let's bring up the answer.
You know
Oh,
what's
yeah.
crazy? Is
Nice.
it was the only thing they got right in the first 4 years. He was a Hall of Famer.
Yeah. Didn't they lose like their first 18 games or something? 20
They
games?
lost their first 20-some, I think.
I like that Jay was real quick to make sure that we knew that he knew that answer, and Jen was real quick to make sure that she knew that she was born way after 1976.
Oh, wait a second.
She got both those points in.
Wait a second. Chandler Cannizzaro must have kicked that field goal for the Buccaneers, not the Browns.
Yeah, that's what we just realized back here. He
Yeah.
never played for the Bucs.
Yeah, I did not
Never
think he played for the
Browns.
Bucs. Steve, did you get that wrong? Steve in Atlanta?
Steve in Atlanta. I just texted him. We'll see what he says.
Because I'm sitting there going, he never played for the
Bad job
Browns
out of
unless
you.
I fell asleep.
But do you see what we are, that we were so broken that we're just like, yeah, that's some guy
It could
probably
have been.
did.
yeah, we
might
all
have
said, well, okay, I guess he did.
The Browns have had a lot of December quarterbacks and a lot of
Yep.
December kickers.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That's all right.
Yeah.
So I
All
think we
right.
get 10 bonus
We're
points
gonna-
for that.
we're gonna pull it together. Okay,
So
but I
you
like
got a 2 for 2 now. 2 for 2 now.
Yeah, that
All
does
right,
not
let's
count.
do 3.
Okay.
Come on, this one is gold, you guys. Which former professional wrestler was the radio analyst for the Bucs in 1990? Who knows the rest?
it was Hulk Hogan, brother.
Was he Tampa
He's
based?
from St. Pete.
It's got to be then, right?
I mean,
Roddy Piper?
yeah. Well, it's Tampa based, and he looks like, and Hulk Hogan looks like if Tampa Bay were a person.
Stay
yes.
down there.
He
didn't play football.
No,
and I don't ever remember
they said he was
him.
a color.
What about The Rock?
They said he was a color.
No, The Rock was way.
Rock was playing in Miami.
Was he already a former professional wrestler when he did this, or do we not know?
Dwayne Johnson
I'm not a
definitely.
WWE extraordinaire, but I've heard of this guy, so.
Which means it's not Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
It's not Hulk Hogan. I'll tell you right now, it's not Hulk Hogan. You guys have not said the correct.
That would have been great, though.
It's got to be somebody with Tampa roots, though, right? Or no?
I would think.
Not that I know any wrestlers.
But I love that you said.
What's the guy
I
from
love that you
Minnesota?
said if Tampa was
Jesse Ventura, Jesse the
It
Body.
could be Jesse
Yeah,
Ventura.
Jesse Ventura.
Jesse Ventura.
I'm gonna go with that one.
Yeah, good
Alright,
call.
Is that your final
Good
answer?
call. Lock
Yes.
that in.
Let's check it out.
All right, let's
Lock
go
that
back.
in.
The answer is
Let's go!
He is a wackadoodle.
Yeah,
Oh, he's up there, man. Have you ever watched his show on conspiracy theories?
Also a former Minnesota governor.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That show about it's comedy. It's not supposed to be, but
Yeah.
it's pure comedy.
He was the governor of Minnesota.
I know he was.
All we got to do is
He was the first
he was
lunatic
the
to become.
first Jeff Saturday. All we got to do is like you. You get a job. Let's go. We've proven it.
Ms. Matthews,
You guys have gotten 3.
have any of the Matthews brethren, that whole group, have they ever considered politics?
no.
No, then
I
it
thought
want
you
nothing to do
were
with it.
I thought you were going to ask if they had considered wrestling, and I paused for a moment.
I thought you were going to ask if they considered being a color man.
Yeah, like right.
Jen, which of your brothers
consider
or
being a
members of the
colored man.
Matthews family would make the best pro wrestler?
You were born a color man.
Oh, guy right here.
Mikey has a good question
Yeah,
for her.
Jen, which
Doug
one of
Williams
the
was asked on
Matthews
Media Day
clan would
when he
make
played in the Super Bowl,
the
how
best
long
pro
have you been a
wrestler?
black quarterback?
That's crazy.
That's a fact. Look it up.
Crazy.
Clay, my brother Clay.
Oh, okay. He'd be the best.
He did something. I gotta pull this up for next time I'm on. We gotta put this up. He did something where he came into the ring and like introduced someone. He was super pumped about it too. He's been on everything, and he was like, "I'm gonna go do this wrestling thing." And I was like, you know, you
He
just
had the
keep
wrestling
doing-
hair.
Yeah, he did.
He
He
could
had the
totally
look.
be a wrestling guy.
100%. Yeah.
Is that a compliment or an insult? I don't know.
That's a compliment, man.
Compliment. Oh, for sure.
Yeah, you're talking a bunch of meatheads. Those are the
When you
those are
got
our
flowing
heroes.
locks like
Hey,
that,
man, you out here looking like Shawn Michaels. Come on, man.
yeah, that's
the
a
look.
wrap. That's a wrap.
All right, 2 more questions.
Sorry,
Question
no,
number
that's-
4.
We've got them all
All
right
right,
so
for the
far.
four. Okay.
You've got the 2
Who
right
is
that
the
have been
Bucs-
right, and the
Well,
default
that's
one.
true. Who is
Okay,
the
so
Bucs-
Warwick Dunn comes to mind.
Yes.
Now, keep in mind, he didn't play his entire career.
Is that
with
Warwick
Tampa
Dunn
Bay.
there?
No, it's the same number, but that
Oh.
actually is
That's
Leonard
Leonard
Fournette.
Oh,
Fournette.
I
who
would-
else could it be if it's not Warwick Dunn?
I would think Wilder, or in the early days, they had James Wilder.
And
Right.
then had Eric Rett. No.
Mike Allstott.
I'm going to say, yeah, Allstott was more of a fullback,
Yeah.
get a lot of carries, but had a lot of rushing yards.
Yeah, I think it's Warwick Dunn.
I
That's my
think it's
guess.
Warwick Dunn. Easy money. Easy money. I always
I
get
have no
Warwick.
clue.
Confident?
I would think it's Warwick Dunn, but if it's not Warwick, it's going to end up being Mike Allstott.
It's Warwick Dunn.
Warwick
See the
Dunn.
All right.
answer?
Let's go with this. All right, the answer is.
James Wilder.
He said that was the backup.
I did.
Wilder.
I did.
And he only got just over 5,700 yards.
Wow.
God,
Yeah.
we blew it, you
We're
guys.
so close.
We were crushing it. We were cruising.
You have a chance, though, to finish 4 or 5, which would be
All
a
right.
record
All
on
right.
the trivia.
Okay,
So
very
last
good.
question here.
Let's get it. Let's get
All
it.
right, let's bring it up. Final question.
Oh boy.
Our own Jay Crawford worked in Tampa from 1998 to 2003. During that period, the Browns played the Bucs one time on October 21st, 2002.
Ugh.
Who won the game, and who were the starting quarterbacks for each team?
Repulsive.
So I'm going with the Bucs won the game.
Hold on.
Okay.
Let me,
I'm going with Brad Johnson
Okay.
And
as the starting quarterback.
Browns made the playoffs.
And 2002, I bet Tim Couch.
I want to. They made the playoffs in what, 03?
No, in 2002.
They went in 2002.
2002, yeah.
Yep.
I would say Kelly Holcomb might have been the quarterback.
Yeah, but Kelly Holcomb was
I don't
filling in
think
for
Kelly
Tim
Holcomb.
Couch,
I think
Yeah, I think it was
because
Couch.
he won the whole year.
It
and
was
then he-
Couch.
In October.
It was Brad Johnson.
Browns win.
Now it could have
They win.
been. Sean King started some games because Brad Johnson was hurt for a little bit in that Super Bowl season.
I'm gonna say, I'm guessing Browns lose.
the Browns lost.
Yeah, they lost.
1,000% the Browns
And
lost.
yeah, they lost.
They did not beat the
and I
Bucs.
think
That was the
part
year the
is
Bucs
correct.
won the
The
Super
Bra-
Bowl.
the Browns did
the
lose.
The Bucs won the Super Bowl in the 02 season.
right.
Jay had that right. The Browns did lose, but we just
Yeah.
beat the quarterback. So you're going with Johnson and Couch, or who are you?
Johnson
10 seconds.
Couch.
10 seconds.
Johnson and Couch.
That shot clock's arbitrary. I think we can blow through it.
Yeah, let's lock that in. Johnson and Couch. I hope we don't see Sean King's name pop up there.
I hope it
All
ain't
right.
Kelly Holcomb.
All right, let's check it out.
All right, let's bring it up.
Couch and Brad.
You got it.
There we go.
Look at that picture of Jay looking like he's selling supplements, too. I like that shot.
I actually was selling supplements at that point in my life.
Those are good. We did really well, didn't we, Jen? Do you want to congratulate us?
You know what? I always believe in you. Remember, I'm the eternal optimist. I told you every week I think the Browns are going to win, and then I get my heart broken.
Hey, USC's football team is relevant again.
Okay. You know what, though, Jay? We have a problem here. Our defense,
I know.
we can't rely on our offense to score 40-plus points every week.
Listen, it's the whole Pac-12. Like, tackling is optional.
No, I know. No one wants to hit. Everyone wants to come in with the shoulder. I'm like, wrap up your tackles, for gosh sake.
But USC could sneak into this dance here.
I know. Well, when Tennessee, there were so many close games.
I know. Everything fell into place.
But then when Tennessee went down big time, I was like, okay.
I know.
All right.
Thanks, Jen.
Wait, we got one comment. I guess we got an internet comment before we say goodbye, right? Is that what you said?
Jen, if you want to stick around for the internet comment, sure. It
okay.
doesn't involve trivia, but we might as well do it now.
Okay.
Jen's segment, because it's what the internet says, and our internet comments are brought to us by PCC Airfoils. Looking for a job with career advancement and great benefits? PCC Airfoils is a leading manufacturer in Northeast Ohio. All locations of PCC Airfoils in Eastlake, Mentor, Wycliffe, and Minerva are hiring for all positions starting at $18 and up. Plus, full benefit packages, paid time off, and a signing bonus. You can apply online at precast.com/careers to learn more. This is from our friend Donnie M. He says, hey, fellas, and I'm going to add, and Jen, because Jen's with us still. Remember, Brady is playing us. He'll probably throw for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. Fournette will rush for 230 yards on our defense. Quote, it's time to put the elf on the shelf, LOL.
Jen, how do you feel about that?
Don't be such a misery, will you?
It just breaks my heart. But you know what? There's a chance he could be right.
There's a really good chance he could be right.
Solid chance.
That's true.
Jen, listen, have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Tell the Matthews family, dad, brothers, mom, who I met is wonderful. Tell them all the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show says happy Thanksgiving.
Appreciate you.
I got to get them on once with me so they can join this party, you know?
That would be fun. That would be a lot of fun.
Cocktailing?
Thanks, Jen.
Bye, Jen. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. Wonderful family. All-American family, kind of.
How much turkey do you think they maw through on any given Thanksgiving?
5 birds.
Can you imagine?
5 birds. They each get their own.
They each get 2 turkeys.
Oh, that's nuts. All right, we have time for final takes, and then
it is time for final takes. Then we're going to tape a Thanksgiving show.
Wonderful.
All right, folks. Let me talk to this group of people out there. There's a bunch of nimrods.
You started the show complaining about a Nimrod.
Remember when Bull said, can we all just start being nicer to one another? That lasted about 8 minutes. Let me tell you, Nimrod's something.
Nimrod's a great term.
It is.
Let me tell you about
underutilized.
Let me tell you a group of people that I can't stand. The group of people that start a sentence or a tweet with, no offense, but. Okay, listen, you're a moron. Just because you say no offense, but. I think there's a lot of people that say that, think they can then say whatever they want, and they're immune for anybody being offended by what they say.
Yeah.
Now, contrary to popular belief, everybody always complains, oh, cancel this. Most of the people that complain about getting canceled don't actually get canceled. 99% of them don't really get canceled. People just have to whine about being canceled. And I don't think people in a one-on-one basis really get that as offended as much as some people make it out to be. The 1% of people that do get offended all the time, screw them. We don't care about them. But you can't just say, no offense, but, and then insult them. I mean, you can, but there are repercussions for that, okay? Just same thing for it's probably all the same people, the same idiots that are on Twitter saying, you can't tell me not what to say, it's the First Amendment. Kyrie even can say what he wants, it's the First Amendment. Do you know anything about our Constitution? Do you know anything about our laws? The First Amendment doesn't protect you from saying something stupid and me calling you a moron for saying something stupid. It protects you from you being able to say something and the government not throwing you in jail for what you say. It has nothing to do with that. So don't be dumb. Get educated a little bit and stop being idiots. Let's go. Happy Thanksgiving.
Really good advice to all the Nimrods out there.
He meant to start that take by saying, no offense, but.
Right.
Yes. Right. I should have. That would have been appropriate.
That would have been great.
You guys might not even know about this, but I've been doing a streaming show for a little bit myself here. It's actually like a bootleg spin-off of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. It's called The Ultimate Cleveland Show. And what they've done is they've taken just a bunch of my old news stories from over the years, and we repackage them together and act like it's new stuff, put a little bit of new stuff in there. We've now done we're doing themed episodes. We've done 5 episodes so far, working on our 6th. We're doing a Thanksgiving one. And I'm not exactly sure how to find it. I think it's wherever you find this. It's probably around this area. Just poke around. You'll find it. I should have come in better prepared. But it doesn't matter. I just want to show you a quick clip that made Jay laugh on the news the other day this is my Ohio theme show where I learned that Ohio is actually, we have a state beverage.
Is it the whole piece?
Please
tell me it's the whole piece.
There's a state beverage?
We have a state beverage.
Wow.
And our state beverage might surprise you. Take a look.
Is it the whole piece?
Let's see.
I hope. We need sound. Stop it. Stop the piece. Stop the piece because we have to have sound for this.
Hold on.
Okay.
Give us 1 sec. Give us 1 sec.
By the way, while you figure this out, that reminded me that my son suggested we should start a new show called the Ultimate Cleveland Kids Show, where our children do a show.
Horrifying.
So can you imagine, even though all the guys don't have children, your son, one of Brad's daughters who are probably really tall, my son, and like one of Tyvis's babies.
Yeah.
I think we should do that for a replacement show. A replacement show on a day where we're not going to do a show.
My wife is like 4'9". She's the same
We'll throw
height.
your wife.
Yep,
Yeah.
bring her in.
For those who don't have kids, we'll put a wife or a girlfriend.
We'll make her
or
the host.
Maybe we'll put Mike's dad.
Listen.
Yeah.
The Ultimate Cleveland Replacement Show.
Yes.
We've got to do that. That's a brilliant idea.
That's a great idea.
Steve's
Polk,
brother.
let's listen to a thing with sound.
Okay, let's check it out. Here's the ad.
Feel it. Gold.
Oh, hi. Sorry. I'm Mike Polk Jr. You just caught me in the middle of my daily exercise workout. You see, as a regional public figure, it's important that I always look my best because the world is a stage and my body is my instrument. So how do I keep it in tune? By putting in my work here at the dojo and by always rehydrating with the official state beverage of Ohio, tomato juice. Why tomato juice? Because it's chock full of all the vitamins, minerals, salt, thickness, and stinging metal aftertaste that I need to be at the peak of my game. And after a grueling workout, there's nothing quite as refreshing as slamming down a cold, tall glass of what is essentially very weak pasta sauce. That's substantial. So take it from me, Mike Polk Jr. Whether you say tomato or tomato, be sure to say cheers with tomato juice, the official beverage of Ohio for some reason, out of everything we could have chosen. It's like I'm burping an Olive Garden. I can't. Oh my God. I don't know if you noticed.
All right, that's great.
So check it out sometime. And that was our Ohio-themed one. We're doing.
Did you actually drink tomato juice?
I did. Yeah, it's revolting.
Tomato juice is the most disgusting thing.
What should Ohio's official beverage be?
Beer.
Beer,
Christmas ale.
Christmas ale.
Could be,
I mean,
but then you could say maybe not everybody can get behind that. Teetotalers and children,
but just
for example.
a beer in general.
I agree.
Mad Dog 2020.
Yes. I think it should be Lawson's Chip
Peaches
Dip.
and cream alizé.
Because Cleveland, when you think Cleveland restaurants, you mostly think of like bar type restaurants. Like that's Cleveland's staple.
Yeah.
And like whenever I'm not a drinker, my wife's not a drinker. Whenever we go to any bar or restaurant, I feel like the waiter's always stunned that we're not having a drink because everybody drinks.
Yeah.
And most people drink beer here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, we're real poor and sad. I mean, so
every poll that's ever done on the most depressed city in the United States, we're first by a landslide.
Yep. So that's good for the bar industry.
Yeah, it is. That's true.
Oh, man, that was
that
great.
piece is fantastic.
That's so funny.
I'll co-sign. I'll sing your praises for a second because he's too damn humble.
Yeah.
These pieces that Mike has done through the years, I am so glad that this Ultimate Cleveland show exists because these pieces deserve to be seen more than once.
Yeah.
And now they all it's kind of like the Mike Polk library, the catalog, if you will. And go there, you'll get lost clicking through it. You'll laugh your ass off. They're all that funny. They're really good.
Yeah, some are, and there are a few like in there that are like I won't say serious, but profiles on people and stuff like that you might find tedious. Or you might enjoy, but it's a good mix of stuff, so check it out.
Yeah, it's very, very funny.
Yeah.
Very funny.
All right.
Well, see, here's the thing, man. This show has so many spinoffs, man. I might as well talk about this spinoff that I didn't even know we was going to do. Me and Adam the Bull, we were starting a weight loss competition, right? That didn't happen.
Are you guys going to do a show where you guys solve mysteries?
Scooby-Doo.
So great.
That'd be
I
crazy,
would watch
right?
the
That
hell
would
out
be
of
awesome.
The Bull and G. Bush Mystery Murder Podcast.
I would watch the hell out of that.
I'm like, man, listen,
Bull will
man.
tell you who did it in the first 30 seconds. That's who he thinks did it.
This Nimrod over here is guilty as hell.
Look at his face.
Look at him.
He has
Look
an
at his douche
unlockable
canoe.
face.
He looks like a killer.
You know what? Now I want them to do a murder mystery
Yeah, we should.
podcast.
That would be funny.
Just give them the information and then just have them read it to each other. Like, read the stuff and be like, and then this happened. What? And then
affidavits. And you see, this is crazy, man. We can be private detectives, man. But we're going to go, listen, we were talking about it. We was like, yo, maybe we should just go to these restaurants and see how they do it. And we were like, oh, listen, let's just steal Triple D. We're going to steal Triple D and make it local. So me and Bull are going to just randomly show up at these places. We're going to show how they make the food. Bull's going to say loud things and laugh a lot and eat all their food. Mm-hmm. I'll probably say something ethnic and it'll be really fun. And then we'll sit down and eat. It's coming to you know what? Steve was like,
is it going to be on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show channel?
Yes.
We haven't gotten started yet, but
this is in like the earliest stage of production. We've talked about the idea once or twice. There's been no planning. We got
nothing yet. But G and
I
I just talked this week. I'm actually going to speak to 2 different restaurants next week about it, and I'm sure they're both going to want to do it.
Oh, listen, they'll take the free publicity. Trust me.
They're going to be awesome, bro.
Yeah.
We're going to show up, pull up, and it'll be fun. Man.
They'll bring out those good chops. Too.
Early
They'll bring out
stages,
those
but
good chops.
Absolutely.
Coming in 2023.
They ain't bringing out anything that's not picture ready for you boys either. That's good eating when they know a camera's coming in.
Yeah, you are
That's
kidding.
when you get the good
We've
stuff.
done it.
Uh-huh. Oh yeah.
You eat everything they have on the menu too.
Oh yeah.
You get to sample everything. It's wonderful.
That's great.
Yeah, I'm not final taking in a minute. We do have some business to take care of. So we're doing a show tomorrow. We're also doing a show Thursday and Friday. I want everybody to know that. So just because the holidays are around and all these slackers take days off, not the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. We'll be working hard to bring our fans the most up-to-date sports information and talk in the Cleveland area. So we'll be on Thursday, 11 o'clock start time for both of those?
For both, yep.
Okay, so Thursday and Friday. Saturday, it's the Buckeyes-Michigan post-game show, which will start at the conclusion of the Buckeyes-Wolverines game on Saturday. And then Sunday, it's the 2-minute show at the 2-minute warning of the Bucs and the Browns. So a very, very busy week. Did I forget anything? Did I leave anything out?
That's it.
Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget, if you're not already, become a paid member. It's $1.99 for the lower tier membership. You get exclusive content. It's great stuff. It's our overtime topic every day. It's good stuff that we're leaving for just members only.